Hello.
Hello again, friends, and welcome back to the Hangout, or welcome to the Hangout. If this is your first time or you're returning, we love to have you here. It's so fantastic to have you, and have things playing in my ear. I don't know why. Oh, there it goes. Figured it out. I figured it out.
Figured it out. Figured it out.
Problems right out of the gate.
No. We'll do it live.
Nice.
So, good evening to those who are watching and hanging out. We love to have you, and make sure that you guys are saying hello in the live chat. Just before we get to our guest, of course, he's sitting here already. He's already going to be talking a little bit, and doing his thing. But just a reminder that the Hangout is just one of many shows on Revolver Broadcasting. What is Revolver Broadcasting, you might ask? Well, it's an entire network of shows for your entertainment, for your education, for your news, for your pure joy. So if you haven't already, do make sure that you're followed or subscribed depending upon the platform you're viewing or listening on, and also make sure that you are going to our website, revolverbroadcasting.com. The website again is revolverbroadcasting.com. Now, if you guys have been up to date on watching us, I'm going to share something with you here shortly on the website. But let's go ahead and share the website. Let's see what the website looks like, huh? For those of you who don't know already. When you go to revolverbroadcasting.com, it'll look like this. Now, if you scroll down, you'll see all the shows there, and you can put the faces to the names, the shows, and you can click on listen here to any one of those and see the latest episodes, even the live episodes directly from the website. Or you can hover over where it says podcasts. Maybe you like the Hangout. Well, go through and click on the Hangout, and boom, look at that. Directly from the website, you can watch this episode while you're in the episode. That's episode inception. And so
Nice.
Go over to our news chambers where you'll see daily devotionals, a prayer list, news stories, and assertions. If you guys want to get into those daily devotionals, I highly recommend them. They're written by our good friend Danny Tippett. They're meant to deepen your faith and to make you think. And boy, do they make you think. Sterling said it made his bread pan hurt. Yeah. His brain pan was in a lot of pain, but he loved it. And so there's also the prayer list, as I said before. If you guys know this already, we want to perpetuate a culture of prayer. So there's all these people you want to pray by name. Every single day we have over 40 people that goes in there and prays, and they let me know. So if you want to be added to that prayer list, guys, make sure you scroll down to the bottom of any part of our webpage, fill out the contact us form. All those emails come directly to Sterling and I. And we will make sure and get you guys added to that prayer list, because we don't just want to pray for you, we want to pray with you. And we have a lot of good prayer warriors that are just getting more and more all the time. It's fantastic. Lastly, you can check out our shop, where you can shop like a hot shot. And I've got a Zoom thing going on here. What's going on here? There we go. All right, share this tab. See, we're just having.
No. We'll do it live.
Things. But you can shop like a hot shot right there on our in our shop, and you'll see that we have lots of different collections. We have the Crisis King collection, Revolver Broadcasting collection, Trump Vance collection, all of our shows, with the exception of Hangout. I'm still working on getting a T-shirt out for that. But our latest T-shirt, if you guys have been here and seen the Allen Squatch, and you believe that the Allen Squatch is real, well then get on over into our shop, go into the Revolver Broadcasting collection, and pick yourself up an I Believe Allen Squatch is Real T-shirt. They're only $15.74, folks. That's cheap. That's like Walmart T-shirt price, but that's much higher quality. See, we're getting you some good stuff. Maybe you're a fan of the fact that Allen was just missing. So you can always get you an Allen is missing T-shirt. If he's found, please return him to Revolver Broadcasting, because it is like herding cats to get him to come into the studio. So. We hear that you can lure him in with basketballs and bags of candy. Usually works. So,
Nice.
we're not saying kidnap him.
Get him to the office.
Never use your panel van. Load him up and get him to the studio.
Rope is about $7. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
At least you didn't add lime and a shovel. Then it would have been like, oh.
Yeah, now that was oh my goodness. Starting to turn into like some Breaking Bad episode or something.
Well, if duty calls.
Oh my goodness. Well,
So, ladies and gentlemen, my guest tonight is my good friend. We've been friends, and well, we call each other family because our mothers were both best friends when we were growing up, and because of that, well, maybe not even necessarily because of that, because you can have parents that are good friends and not be friends. Brad and I always just got along, and yeah, we're more like brothers or cousins or something like that than we are just friends. So uh, I know all these most of all the stories he's going to tell because it's like I was there for at least a quarter of them, but
yeah.
but we're going to get into him anyway. We're going to get into him anyway because he's got a great story to tell and he's got a lot of things to share. And I think that it's going to, I think it's going to touch a lot of hearts, and I think it's going to change some minds.
That's the goal, because I would love to, just, let people understand that, like, there's people out there that go through things that most people wouldn't understand, especially, when it comes to spirituality and stuff like that, running into that, people just don't think that this stuff exists. And it's why, has led me to more of a path of Christ and everything else like that. Cause it's something that it feels right. And it makes more sense with everything that's going on right now,
Yeah, we'll have to get you in with our good friend Danny Tippett for sure, because his podcast is literally called "It Makes Sense" podcast.
Oh, really? Nice. I didn't even know that. Well, that makes sense, right? Nice.
So, Mr. Bradley Walker, as you know, as explained in pre-show, when we start the hangout, we always start off with warm-up questions, and the first one is, "What is your favorite color?"
That's funny. When I was younger, I used to say clear all the time, just to be absolutely funny and off the charts about things all the time, just to be a one-off person. But yeah, I like colors in general. It's just depending. I have a lyric that says, "Depending on the paint you use is how you'll get into your answer," and everybody's a different color. Everybody likes different colors. So, but I don't know. I've been pretty fond of blue a lot lately. Blue has been a really big color for me these days. So, yeah.
And it's like just blue, like that real blue, or you like a.
I like the kind of like the aqua, like the aquatic green like blue kind of thing,
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Aquamarine.
Yeah. It's just really eye appealing. It pops out kind of thing, and like reminds me of being at the ocean and stuff like that. Because I grew up on the West Coast, I got to see the ocean and stuff like that, and it just reminds me of it. It's more of a peaceful vibe than anything. So,
Peace is good. Peace is
yes.
good. All right. Second warm up question. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book. Actually, I didn't really even think about that before. And I was just kind of like running through. See, I would say Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's kind of like a Harry Potter book, but it's different. It's just like the whole idea of like the book is basically this guy going through and trying to he goes to college and figures out the name of actual objects, like the objects that we see and that we know and we agree that it is, like, say a table is something different in some spiritual ethereal world or something like that. He's able to control things and whatnot. I thought that was always a really cool book, but I'm favoring the Bible right now a lot. I've got my Bible. Keep this close to me. I got this when I was on my 2-year journey. I ended up in Florida at this place. It's called the Rainbow Gathering, and they're out there for 2 weeks in Ocala, just kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. But I met this guy named Salah, and he's the coolest person I've ever met. Very calm and like very just loving kind of person. And he gave me this Bible, and I've been with this Bible for about a year or so, and I frequent it a lot. So, but yep.
Yeah. I was to say that I would highly recommend, knowing your personality. I would highly recommend, and I've done this with a lot of other friends too. The Book of James.
Okay.
Yeah, very practical book. I think that it will speak to you because, given all its practicality, it just really is. It's like just general rules for life, but also like the basis for Christendom, Christianity. It's like it's all right there. So like even non-believers, if they read the book of James, they could still get the morality out of it and go like, oh yeah, slow to speak, slow to anger, got it.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Just basic, like, life tools that you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I do. Like, I started understanding more, just besides all the, symbolic things that are happening from our current events and stuff like that. I've started noticing a lot that it relates to a lot of stories that people are going through now, and it's just kind of like the same thing, but it's written out to where it has this, you could see it for the moral version of it, or the outcome of it, you know what I mean? And like what I was saying earlier is like a lot of the current events we have nowadays, there's more problems than solutions. And if we go to this, there's a lot of solutions in here. You know what I mean? And it's a very, very beautifully written book for sure.
I mean, it's an acronym: basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. That makes sense though. Yeah. Makes sense.
You're welcome, Danny Tippett. We've now plugged it 4 times.
4 times. Got you. Yes.
Watch his show after this one, though. Watch this first.
Right. That's funny.
All right. So we'll get into this final warm up question, and then we'll get into the heavy stuff, I guess, or well, I guess it'd be just your life.
Yeah.
But the final one is favorite movie.
Favorite movie. I think it would be Robin Williams' What Dreams May Come.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful one.
Yeah, I absolutely love that movie, like, so much. It's just something I always like thought about when I was a kid, and the things of going in and out of hell and heaven and stuff like that. It just like they visualized a lot of cool things in there. I adore that movie. But then it would be probably Enter the Void would be the next one. It's basically a 3.5-hour movie, and it's about a guy going through his life, after death. And it's just a 3.5-hour movie. This kind of draws you into what it would be like if you had the moments of death, after, and that just lingering memories that you would have through that. It's kind of interesting. Yeah.
No, that is interesting. I haven't seen that one yet.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
I like What Dreams May Come. Yeah, that one, like, cinematically, story. I mean, the whole thing is it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
It changed for Robin Williams too, because he was always like, he was the funny guy, and then you get into some of these dramas, and you're like, oh, he's got chops.
Yeah. Kind of like Patch Adams was. Yeah. It was kind of like a mix between. It was, you know what I mean? It was like funny, but then it was also, fairly sad too. So.
Well, and Good Will Hunting, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about that one too.
It's not your fault. I remind you, it's not your fault. And you keep waiting for him to go like, "Whoop, zing, how about it?"
Yeah. Dude, it's just something off the handle.
Not your fault.
That's interesting. Yeah.
All right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on the rewind. We're gonna go on the retrograde. We're gonna go to diddly loo. We're gonna go back to baby Bradley, fresh out of the womb. Baby Bradley. And we can start there. And what was it like coming up as Bradley Walker?
Well, it was interesting because I remember a lot of memories back from, even being as small as like 2 and 3 years old. But I also have this memory of a kid that I swear it was like just like a past life memory. And I was in this kind of like church or this funeral house or whatever. And I was like kind of like floating around. It's like I felt like there was like my son and my daughter-in-law that were carrying their kid down the way to the casket. And I remember it being in my head. I remember being like, "Oh, I'm going to go see my wife," and I was like that. And I remember like just the feeling of it as being like this warm, like, it was just kind of like it's like if you would take like a sepia, like photo. That's kind of what it felt like, you know. But I remember walking up to the the casket and whatnot, and then seeing my wife there, and I remember being so sad that I am not with her anymore. And then I somehow like I had touched her, and then I just kind of fell into this like blackness, and then it became light, and then I don't remember anything else after that. But it's been a haunting memory since I was a kid. I can draw out what the funeral home looked like. I can draw out, you know, like I can remember there was only 5 people that were there, and I can remember where they were sitting, what pews or whatever they were sitting at or whatnot. And it just, ever since I was a kid, I kind of remember this, and it's always kind of been that thing. But being a kid growing up, like I didn't really even have any time to sit and actually think about it, just because of how crazy my life has been. You know, it started off with being like 2 and 3 years old. When I was like 2 years old, we I remember being in the homeless shelter we were talking about earlier, with my mom. We got denied to be in the shelter because they were too full, and then it was raining outside. And then it started raining, so they basically brought us in, and they were like, "Hey, you guys can sleep on the benches, and still we can, you know, figure out a place for you guys to be at." But we were there for quite a while. I remember having like Christmas there and getting like this little car, one of those like ones that you can like back up, whatever. Me being me, I decided I was gonna like rev it up all the way and just like let it take off, and it took off, and I was like, "Oh well, that's gone." Well, don't know what to do with that, so didn't really care about materialistic stuff back then anyways. But yeah, my life has always been kind of like back and forth. I never really had like a foundation to grow on, so you know, that's kind of where that started, I guess. But yeah, let's see. 3 years old. Okay, so this is a memory that you remember. You kind of remember this. This is kind of going into extraterrestrial stuff, because I feel like I'm the only one who remembers this situation. But there was a Halloween party that me and you went to, and it was way back in the day. I think my dad was there at the time too. I can't remember, but I remember that we. Hang on, motorbike. Anywho, but yeah, I remember when I was a kid that we had this Halloween party out in Kokomo or something like that, and we were, I don't know, all I remember is being around this guy, around the fire, and at one point he was like, "Hey, you want to see something?" And I'm like, I'm a kid, of course you know, and he shows me his hand, and he puts it down between his feet, and he grabs it, and this like glove off, and it's like it almost looked like his like hands were glued together. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I was like, that's weird, or whatever. So anyway, during they flip over to the night part of it, we were playing flashlight tag.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you remember? Do you remember this party? You remember this party now? Yeah, we were playing flashlight tag, and me and Jimmy, because everybody was like running around and stuff like this.
Yeah, Jimmy's my
And
brother, by the way, guys.
yeah, Jimmy is his brother. And so we went to this our RV our ATV cover or something like that. And we both hid under it, and then all of a sudden we started hearing everybody scream, and we were just like, "What's going on?" We darted out, and we saw everybody looking at the sky, and there was this huge ship in the sky. I mean, it was like this triangular thing that was in the sky. And what I remember is a voice came into my head and was like, "Hey, you need to go search for this dude with the 3 fingers." That's what I remember. And so I walked over, and there was a shed over to the left or whatever that I walked into. And all of a sudden there was I saw this huge, like 8-9 foot like creature. It was like translucent light, and you could see through it. And then I remember being on, this is weird. I tell you this, like a lot of people will tell you stories like this, but like this has been something that I've been wanting to tell people for a long time, because it's something that happened to me. But anyways, I got onto the ship. I saw everybody on the ground, and then at one point I was surrounded by these creatures, and they had my head cut open. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, "Hey, why don't you take a picture of my brain?" You know, because I'm a kid. Like, I'm gonna like, take a picture of my brain. I'll never be able to see this again.
Yeah.
And anyways, they said they don't have time for that or something like that. And then I ended up on the ground, and I was naked. And I remember in my head, I was like, "Hang on a second, where are my clothes?" And they were like, "Oh, it's on the bale." And a voice came into my head, and there was like a bale there was like a little shed or whatever that had like some hay in it or whatever, and my clothes were all folded up. And then as soon as I was getting my clothes on, I had all my clothes on, you came running to me through a fence and was like, Bradley, we have to go. And I was like, what's going on? And then we got up to where everybody was kind of like, you know, like looking at the sky, and all of a sudden I get tackled to the ground. The only thing I could see was flashes of light coming off the blades of grass. That's the only thing that I remember of this whole thing. And I got up and everybody was like kind of looking around like, what happened? You know what I mean? And I know you probably don't remember, or like there's a lot of people that I've asked that have been there that they don't remember this, but this is a memory that I've always had.
Yeah.
So
I remember the party because I remember the flashlight tag, and I remember they had the long table in the living room that had all the little plastic gloves filled with popcorn.
Yeah. Yep. And like
we wanted those gloves real bad. We were all like, because my brother, you know, he couldn't reach. You were just tall enough because you, for whatever reason, you know, because back then he was the shorter one, and so, but you were just tall enough. I remember that because you grabbed one off the side of the table, and he was mad because he was the only one, and I had to pull one down for him.
Oh, Jimmy.
Yeah. You know, his little, at that time, you know, his little chunker cheekers and his little Jimmy voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
He hates when I say all that stuff because he's like, baby brother. But
Oh.
But that stuff I remember because yeah.
It was that was the party, and like for some reason I'm the only one that remembers like a lot of that stuff, a lot of that extra stuff that happened. And now, like, ever since then, like, my life has been very, very, very strange. You know what I mean? Like, and then it comes up to, like, you know, besides all the kind of mom and dad stuff that happened of, like, you know, my dad leaving when I was, like, 3 and 4 years old. I was on a semi-truck from the time I was 4 to 5 years old. We were on the semi-truck. It was the Mayflower for, like, 18 months. We got to travel around with this guy named Rob. And then we lived in, I think it was, like, Zionsville, I think. I think I lived in Zionsville for a while and met my friend Chris there. And there's a weird story about that. When we were in that house, we used to watch like horror films all the time, like Chucky and like Friday the 13th. That was just kind of like, you know. But I remember waking up one morning and in the middle of the night or whatever, and like thinking that I saw Freddy go under the couch that my mom was sleeping on. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go under there with him, thinking of being a kid. And so I roll up like a piece of newspaper, like I'm Indiana Jones, right? And I got this lighter, and I'm like crawling under this like couch or whatever. And I light the thing, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, well, there's nothing under there. It's cool or whatever. And then all of a sudden, it just engulfs in flames. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And the only thing I could think in my head is just get water. So I went and got this huge like pitcher of water, like one of those like lemon pitchers, and I just shoved it under the couch, and I was like, oh, that'll work, right?
You're a kid, of course.
Yeah, of course. It's just, you know, water, fire. Yeah. It's supposed to work that way.
Lighter equals fire, so that's yeah.
Yeah, right. But yeah, my mom woke up and we ended up getting the couch out. But yeah, a lot of what I remember of being a kid is just like, you know, a lot of playing Sonic the Hedgehog and Mortal Kombat and whatnot.
Yeah, and you owning everybody in the room in Mortal Kombat because nobody could catch you. Not even Mr. Alan McFarlane, which I know he won't admit to this day. But not even he could beat you in Mortal Kombat.
And you know why? Because I would be the one. So I used to do this all the time. I used to go to, and because we weren't rich enough or had enough money to get the code books, like the Game Sharks that would have all like the fatalities and all the special combos and stuff. So I would go there, and I was sitting there while my mom's like going around looking for movies and stuff, and I would sit there and I would remember all the codes, all the things. So when I come visit all my friends that had like Sega Genesis, and because I didn't, I would go around like, you know, I'm like, okay, well we're gonna play a tournament, and I just beat everybody because I guess that was just, you know. But yeah, I was kind of like that kid that would just memorize all the combos and stuff. But yeah, I was on Mayflower for 18 months, got to see the world, the country. And then one memory that I had from that was my mom had drove the truck accidentally over and like the side of a mountain. We were like hanging off of it. She'll tell you this story. It's like we thought we were gonna die. That was a really interesting moment. But we ended up stopping and like getting like the emergency people out there and stuff like that. But I remember that being a kid. And then it comes up to being 6 years old when me and you and Jimmy, I think, or it might have been somebody else, but we went out to the train tracks and we found that lady that was
Yeah,
deceased.
that was all of us. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, all I remember is like, you know, we went up there because like usually, you know, like people would throw like trash bags of stuff back there, and we would dig through it, like, you know, like cool clothes or like game pieces or puzzles or something like that. They would just chuck back there or whatever, and we'd find all kinds of stuff over. But yeah, that's what we kind of come up to it, and we're like, oh, that's a person. You know, she was blue and had issues. Yeah, had rigor mortis, all that stuff, and I remember like, you know, sitting there thinking. That was when I started having troubles with what I believed in with life and death, just because it changed me. It changed me like that. It changed my whole life right at that moment. Yeah. And I remember going to the cops, and we were going to church at the time, across the street. Mm-hmm. And then I remember like the cop asked me, he was like, "Hey son, are you okay?" And I looked at him and I was like, you know, pardon me, but like how can a God so loving do something like this to a person? You know, and I was only 6 years old. I had been so going to church normally, you know, and stuff like that, and then everything in my head just clicked, and I haven't been the same since. You know, I've now just, you know, I became obsessed with like death and trying to figure out what the afterlife is, and all this other stuff, you know, unbeknownst that, like, you know, you can find it somewhere in a book somewhere. But
you felt disenfranchised in that moment, like, because it's
yeah.
like, oh my goodness, this was a life, and now it's not, and it's so sudden because, you know, that woman, her head was removed from her body, and none of us had ever seen anything like that before. And to my credit, I did warn not to go over there, but
yeah,
you're like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm a curious cat, and like I remember going over to the woman and like holding her hand, and I said the same thing that I said to the cop, because I was like how can this is terrible, and it literally made me think of life a lot differently. Sorry, motorcycles. Fun. Just kidding. But
it's the weather for it, so
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I don't know. It was just a turning point in my life. That's when I started thinking about everything in the world and seeing people for what they were. I remember a story my mom told me, like, when I was younger, I got like $50 or something that from my birthday or something like that, and I passed by a homeless person and gave it to him, you know. And I knew that, and she asked me, she was like, "Why did you give that person your birthday money?" And I was like, "Because that person needs it more than I do." And I was like 6, 7, 8 years old when I started realizing that the world was a lot different than us, you know, how we viewed it as kids. And that's why kind of like I've always been kind of like the weird person of the, just because how I just viewed it after that, you know, after that incident.
Yeah, it's like an instant cynicism as a kid.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because then everything else is like the I call it the fear. It's like the minute that you understand that one day that you are no longer going to be here, you know, that minute you don't wake up, or you don't smell your favorite smell or eat your favorite food, you can't do that anymore. You know, it's that ultimate realization that that's never going to happen, you know. And like I had that fear as a kid, and it flung me into such a weird, you know, it's just a weird spiral of thinking as a kid. I isolated myself a lot more, and I became more angry about life because I just didn't understand why all the people out of the world were supposed to be good people. Like, why is this happening? You know? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah,
I can remember a couple really, really good stories about that, about when you and James were about that age. Cause, you know, my brother James and Bradley are pretty much the same, you know, that's just months apart.
Yeah.
But, course, Hungry Hungry Hippos was huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember like my parents was like, if I hear 10 more clacks, because back then, the hippos, like they actually, whom, 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 they were loud.
Mhm.
So I remember us like we were in like full on Hungry Hungry Hippo tournaments, and it was intense. Not camping intense, but it was intense, and those were some good times. I remember just before it was like we had just got home from the video store, which I don't think was Blockbuster. I think it was just whatever version of that was closest by. But
Mhm.
Ninja Turtles 3.
Oh yeah.
You were at my house when Ninja Turtles 3, when we rented it, we were all going to see it for the very first time. And there was, my mom and your mom was making a pizza because when it's Ninja Turtles, you gotta eat.
Oh, you gotta have pizza. Of course.
And then we all like jumped over that side concrete wall that was on around the front porch of my house. We all went outside yard and we were all Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was an argument of like, who's not going to be a Ninja Turtle? And then of course your sister Brittany was voluntold that she was going to be Shredder.
I don't remember this at all, but yeah, it makes sense. So
I want to be Shredder.
She's like, I don't want to be Shredder.
You have to be Shredder, and we didn't know that he wasn't, in the third one, but but we were still insistent on her being Shredder.
Right. Someone's got to play the part.
Yeah, and then we all just kind of like flipped around and beat the tar out of each other for a while, and then we were called in. That was a good night, because I remember we were all tilting our heads because the animatronic Splinter, because we're like, where's the good one, the one that looks like an actually Splinter, because in those older practical effects Ninja Turtles movies, he wasn't animatronic, it was a puppet,
right? Yeah.
Or a guy in a suit, yeah, and then when we saw it, we were all doing that. We're like, I can remember that vividly. We're all just tilting our heads like, what is that? That's not Splinter.
Yeah, is that the one? Isn't that the one where they have the scepter and they going back in time? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, this is not the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. And we were all very disappointed because we got so hyped up because they're like, oh, it's a new Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah.
And then we're like, what did they do to Splinter? And then, who is that? That's not April O'Neil.
Right. That's a way different person. Yeah. And then, do you remember the VHS tape I had, the Ninja Turtles in concert?
Yeah.
They come out and they're on the stage and there's like, wow, Ninja Turtle. And you're just like, what? Yeah. A lot of people don't remember that one. That was like my little pride and joy. I was like, yeah, I got the ones in concert.
Yeah, you and James are the ones to like truly enjoy that. I was like, I like the ninja rap, but I don't know about this.
Right. Ninja rap.
But those are like really good, wholesome memories that we had. Like taking Alan McFarlane's G.I. Joe, snapping them in half, and then burying him in my side yard.
Oh yeah,
I had like hundreds of them, and we were just like, "Oh, he died! Snap!"
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I remember why you guys used to have just all kinds. Like at one point, you had given me a whole bag of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Man,
I bought all those myself. I saved my lunch money.
Oh really? He's like, I'm not going to eat. I want Spider-Man.
I starved myself for those.
Yeah, you had the.
My mom and dad didn't have enough money to really go out and buy a lot of the stuff, So,
right.
yeah, we were strapped, just like any other family in that neighborhood. But there was, we had to do money for lunch because we didn't have the free lunch for whatever reason, and so, I would save my lunch money and bought all those. Every single one of those was either bought by me or after like a couple weeks, my mom realizing that I was not eating my lunch, she was like, "I'll buy you one." Just it's gonna be a while, yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember you gave me this. I was like, man, there's a lot of these. My favorite one though, and I think you remember, my favorite one's always been Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah,
the futuristic one. I always thought that was the coolest thing in the entire world, man. Is the best whatchamacallit, best Spider-Man ever. But yeah, look at Danny's in here. Hi,
Yeah,
Danny.
director. Yep, that's
Hi,
it's
Bubbles.
the same Danny from that you know and love from growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
He went to
We've all had it. Oh,
you know it.
yeah.
He went to dinner with Laura and I earlier today. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh,
Still hanging out.
heck yeah. I'm glad he's doing, he's still here. He's doing good.
So you know you have these 6, 7, 8 years old, and at some point, you're moving again, right?
Yeah. I moved. I think I can't even remember how many places we moved. We were off the east side for a while, then we went to the south side of Indianapolis near Garfield Park,
Yeah, Kelly Street.
East Kelly Street, and that's when I went to that Catholic school.
Mhm.
And I ended up getting kicked out of the Catholic school because those nuns were just ruthless, man. Like everything you guys have ever heard about Catholic nuns and teachers, like it's real. I got slammed up against a locker by one just because I refused to do something they told me or something like that. It was a little ridiculous. I don't know, but yeah, it was on East Kelly Street, and that's when I started really having a lot of my like crazy spiritual dreams and visions and stuff like that. That's when I started getting into the end of the world. I read the Bible as a kid after I taught myself how to read from Hooked on Phonics. I started reading and learning how to maneuver this and Revelations. I was stuck on Revelations as a kid, and Nostradamus and stuff like that. For some reason, I just felt at home. Like I felt like something was going on or something was happening in my life, and something is happening on this planet that's something that's beyond what we can
Comprehend.
So yeah, comprehend. And there's a few stories I'm gonna leave out of this just because like it's stuff that I don't think that I don't know. It's kind of like so surreal that this stuff happens, like being visited by either like demons or um any kind of deities or anything like that. This stuff's real, man. Like I can't stress that enough. Like people that mess with Ouija boards and stuff like that, they think this demonic stuff is like showy or this it's cool to be like all hip into the Satan stuff. Like please stop. Like it stuff is real, and I would hope that anybody who would know me would understand. Like, it's real. It's very much real. Anywho, so going on, I ended up in a children's home. I ended up doing pretty well there. They ended up actually seeing like my brain for what it was, and I ended up skipping grade and whatnot. But I was there for 4 years. And that place was just really strange. I have a interesting story about a place. It's called Englishton Park Camp, and so I think we were there for like 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. It was some like program that we went to when I was like 10 or 11 years old or something like that. But it was like a normal like summer camp or whatnot, and we learned to do like the bow and arrows, and like they taught us how to build forts and stuff, and like how to tie trees up with rope and to make it fortified and stuff like that. It was really interesting. But like towards the end of it, I remember at one point we all had to put these like cloaks on, and we all went to this pond. If I had a picture of the view of it, I'd be able to show you the lake. But when we all went over to this lake, and it was daytime outside, and we were like, they all lined us up in a row, and they said, whatever you do, don't lift your heads, don't do anything. You put your head on the ground, right? So it was light outside, and they said some prayers or whatever, and then we all bowed our heads onto the ground. And then all of a sudden I heard this like very deep rumble over like the entire forest and that we were at, and the sky, and I immediately picked up my head, and it was dark, completely dark outside, and in the middle of the pond was somebody in a pond burning. They had set this person or whatever on fire, and later to find out there was a kid. He was already like 80% burnt or something like that. And anyways, I'll get to that in a second. But anyways, they ended up grabbing me and they took me back, and then ever since that night, every night after that, I had a counselor sit by my bed, and he would tell me like, hey, don't get into magic cards or tarot cards or this and this and that. And he would tell me this story about like how like when he was sleeping one time, and he woke up and he thought he saw his dead grandpa across the door, and he was like, grandpa, and he came back, and he looked at him, and then all of a sudden he got right up in his face, like face to face, and he said his grandpa was screaming at him, do you want to go to hell? Do you want to go to hell? Do you want to go to hell? I remember the story from when I was like 10 years old. And then I remember that night too, I had asked him about the kid that had been burnt. I was like, hey, where did that kid go? And they were like, oh yeah, he went home. And I was like, it's kind of a little weird, but it's just like things like that are real. I have been through so many things being in foster care and stuff like that they really do choose kids for certain rituals and stuff like that. It's now become a very well-known thing, and I was a part of all of that when I was a kid too, but yeah, let's see. I ended up getting kicked out of the children's home when I was, I think, 12 or 13 or something, and then I moved out to Oregon with my father, and went to high school there. My house burnt down on Halloween. That was strange, and then I ended up being homeless for, about a month or so until my friends decided they were going to pick me up out of the dugouts of the baseball field. It was really interesting. But I ended up staying with my friend Dustin after that, and working with his father and stuff like that to try to get money and stuff to just, get my own place and stuff. Because I was like 15, 16 years old. Like, my dad was in he was like in a homeless shelter. And I just was like trying to make it through high school and whatnot. So, but yeah, I'm jumping around. Like my life's been such a jumble. It's just, I'm like, what story?
I remember just before you moved away, because I think you were still in that school. You'd come to our house for a visit because I think it was like a 2-week thing or something. You were out, and because you had on your class A's, you came to the house on your class A's from junior ROTC, and you had your glasses. I was like, I've never seen you in glasses before. And, yeah. And then you came and you picked up my guitar and just started playing it, because you could just sit there and play, and we were all like, "Oh, that's really cool." Brad knows how to play guitar, because you just immediately just took to it.
Yeah. Around the time I was like 9, 10 years old, I like started to get really into like, I had my stepmom, she bought me a guitar. I really started getting into music and playing music then, because it was a way for me to, like, I don't know, like it was just, I was able to express myself differently. I could have people listen to me if I were to say something or play a song or something. I knew that I could attract people, and me being young, I wanted to, tell people my view and my story of like how I've been raised, and not only that, like my views on the world and stuff. And I knew that was a way that I could do it. So I was able to learn it really fast. Not only that, my uncle Scoot, he was a drummer and stuff like that. Got me really into music when I was a kid.
God rest his soul.
Cigarettes and stuff. No.
He's a good dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I miss that dude so much. But
always gave me a hug when he saw me.
Yeah, see that that dude, you know, he was always so happy. Like yeah, I live for that dude because I want more people to be that way. You know, just infectiously loving. You know, and I feel like more people are out here judging and just trying to get one over on people anymore than anything. And uh, I feel like if we just had more love and understanding, peace would come with it.
Yeah, you definitely
You know?
inherited that trait from him. Sure.
Yeah, he was like a father to me for sure. Like, you know, my whole childhood, you know, had been really kind of crazy, you know, with my parental, you know, figures not being in the picture and stuff. I lived with my grandmother most of the time, but yeah, he was like a brother, like father to me, and like taught me all about music and whatnot. But yeah, um, but yeah, I was in the JROTC program for 4 years when I was in the children's home. I ended up like excelling really well in that. Like I was on rifle team for 3 years, um, and then I had gotten all kinds of awards. We were in parades. Like it was that was an experience for me. And like that time, that's a good lead up too, because at that time I really wanted to go to the military. Like I really wanted to be like, yeah, I think that this is gonna save the people, is like going and fighting all this evil stuff and blah 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 blah. And I don't know what happened to me. I'm pretty sure it was like around the time Bush and Gore were, you know, like fighting for office and stuff, and I saw all that crap happen, and it made me change my mind on that. I wanted to stay here and fight here because there's so much more going on inside of all of this, you know what I mean, than anything. So where'd you go, Joshua? Oh no. Hang on, let me see if I we lost you. Well, we have lost Joshua. He has gone to visit Alan in the woods somewhere, try to find him. Um, let's see. Let's see if I can find him real quick. Well, you hear me, Joshua? Well. Well, okay, so I have an update on the missing Joshua. His power went out as we are on this live. So he'll be back on in a second. But I guess here I'll do.
What a wild thing to happen right in the middle of his stream. The power
Just cut off, huh?
yeah, it went like it just like it flickered. And
Yeah.
and I don't think I mean it was raining outside, but we're not. It's not storming here right now. The storms were last night. When last night was like when the tornado was like ripping through here, and yeah, we got F2.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That kind of stuff I don't know. I don't want to go on and explain
I was
some
gonna say,
of my
don't get too conspiratorial about it because Rumble has like glitches.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like we've had it where like because that's why I stuck to the old studio because I knew it was like more stable because they're the newer version of the studio. If we were to go on there, after the first half hour, it tends to have a problem with small creators where it just boots you off and you have to start a whole new stream. So
nice. They're like, there's nothing going on here.
Exactly. So I want to thank the viewers for sticking around.
Heck yeah.
And,
I was trying to entertain them a little bit.
I seen you kind of like leaning in. What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? I was like, oh, he has joined Alan in the woods.
Yeah,
he's going to find him.
We don't have to worry about it.
We'll do it live.
Go live.
It's all going to be okay, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know what they're thinking about me. They're like,
oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Hey, we got to have comedy for ourselves. I mean, yeah. I always used to tell people, like, God may be a comedian at some point because have you seen a platypus? Have you seen what they look like?
I mean, a duckbill on a beaver, that's just wrong.
That's just wrong, man. You're just like, well, I ran out of duck parts, so I ran out of beaver parts over here. There we go.
I think that's God's way of going.
We do a little trolling. It's called we do a little trolling.
It's like I did that for a reason.
See, nothing happened. The power went out, but we're right back in it.
Got you guys. But yeah,
you excelled in rifle team. You excelled in junior ROTC. Doing pretty well with that.
Yeah, I had like I think it was so I gotta tell the story because like for some reason I had an inkling of this happening. I don't know what it was, but I was in like this like government class or something when I was in 8th grade when the Bush and Gore thing was happening, and we were running like a kind of faux poll kind of thing, and I voted for Gore. I don't know why. I had no idea. For later on, following him, he follows Carl Sagan, you know, with all the
Cosmos guy,
that. So he followed him for a while, but anyways, in government class we were sitting there and Gore was winning. I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like I picked the right person, you know what I mean? Like hopefully this works out. I didn't know anything about
that was the whole like P Diddy rock the vote.
Right, yeah.
Vote or die. Vote or die.
Vote or die. And then
him that aged well.
Yeah, I know, right? Anywho. Humans are strange, man. But yeah, it was the Bush and Gore election, and Gore was winning, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, all the numbers went all weird, and then Bush was winning, like by 1 million votes or something like that. And I looked around my class, I was like, are you guys seeing this right now? I was like, do you guys see what just happened? And then I got in the car after school, and my mom's at the time, I grew up with lesbian mothers. By the way, that's a whole other subject, but my mom said they were like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I think something really bad's gonna happen. I just had this really weird gut feeling. And then going into high school, I was taking my pre-SATs, and Mr. Walker came in and was like, they just bombed the Twin Towers. And I was like, wait a second. And something clicked in me. And then he brought in the TV, and as soon as the second one hit, I got up on my chair and was like yelling and just like, oh my gosh, did you guys know what's going on? You know what I mean? Like I was in this like this state, and it was so bad that I ended up getting sent to the office, Mr. White's office, and he asked me, he was like, is this kind of like some trauma response? And I was like, yeah, sure. It's like trauma response, whatever. And then I went to the gym. We all collected in the gym, and they were hang on a second. They were like,
clink, 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 clink.
Yeah, I was about to. The laptop was about to die. But, yeah.
You almost
we all collected. I need power. Power.
Yeah, get to the chopper. Yeah. Oh.
Get to the chopper. Get to the point. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but yeah, we all collected in the gym and whatnot, and they all my friends kept asking me. They were like, "Why were you like yelling and shouting, like kind of celebrating and stuff?" And I was like, "You guys don't know what happened, do you?" And I explained to them, and I was like, "Come to me in 20 years, and I'll explain everything that's going on." For some reason, I've always had like these visions and just weird things that have happened to me that have always built my character and my spirit towards like, hey, I think we're living in the end of times. You know what I mean? And that was kind of like one of the signals for me to, and it clicked. But yeah, I ended up getting kicked out 3 days after that because I was kind of like mixing the words of like certain songs of the memorial we were having to be more of like, hey, don't you guys understand it's the end of the world kind of thing, you know? And I got kicked out for that. Ended up in Oregon with my dad. So
Thus a new
yeah,
adventure.
just
Yeah.
do what?
And thus a new adventure began.
Yes, and a new adventure began. Chapter 11 of my life. um, but yeah, I went to this small high school out in Monroe, Oregon. There was only like 650 people in the entire town, and it's very quiet, very little town. But I think there was like maybe 80 people in my high school, if that. So that whole high school is cool. Yeah, I came there as like this person that was from Indianapolis, Indiana, like little city kid, and into this small little like they did a lot of Christmas trees and stuff like that out there. Uh, but anyways, yeah, I got there. That's I was always an outcast, so I was a major outcast when I got to the high school, and it was kind of cool growing up and then them realizing that I was a lot different than what I was. I had this friend, his name was Travis. He's like, yeah, man, I became your friend because I didn't want you, if you were going to shoot up the school, man, I didn't want you to be, I was like, what are you talking about, man? This is all around the times with Columbine and all that stuff started happening. You know what I mean? And me, I'm dressed in like long hair and like, like trench coat and stuff, listening to like Marilyn Manson and like all typo negative and all that kind of
Very,
jazz.
very stereotypical. I'll shoot up the school kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Seemingly, but it
Yeah.
was funny because like I was just on black. I remember like during like my history class, Mr. Wald, he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, Brad, I heard you're from Indianapolis," and I already knew. I already knew what he was gonna ask me. He was like, "You play basketball?" And I was like, no, I don't play. Do I look like I play basketball? And he's like, you should come out to tryouts. And so I come out. I come out with all black jeans, all black shirt, all, you know what I mean. This decked out like a goth basketball player. Start hooping on people, and they're just like, what is going on? I don't understand this. He's so good at this, but he's supposed to be like, that was like my high school. I went from being like this outcast kid to being vice president of my junior class. They all
Nice.
voted me in, yeah, and I was like, what? And it's because they all saw the person that I was. That I was just different. I just marched to a different drum beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but that was cool. I got to let loose and kind of like show people what I was about. It kind of geared me up to be an adult, you know, going to somewhere that I didn't know and then trying to adapt and then kind of fend for myself. I had a job when I was 13, 14 years old doing cement statues. We do like 140 something pieces a day, go in there and fill all the molds up, bump them out, bump all the bubbles out, and then we let them sit and come in the next day and unwrap them and everything and see if we did a good job on mixture and cement and stuff. I made $100 a day and I would work like 5 or 6 days a week.
Oh,
So
wow.
being a kid and having like, a paycheck that's like $500 or $600, you know what I mean? Like I had a friggin' stack of CDs like you would never know. I'm like, I don't even know this band, but I'm gonna buy the CD anyway. It's $2.99. but yeah, it geared me up to just being more of an independent person. And geez, like so like yeah, I went through high school. Trying to think of like the memories and stuff like to, kind of go off, but a lot of it was just being a kid, you know. Um, I ended up being really close to some friends. We started a band called Altered Perspective. So me and my friend Zach Monjay. It was the first person that ever really gave me a chance. There's a funny story with him. Like, it was so the first time I ever met Zachary, he was doing this puzzle, and they were like being kids or whatever, and like being like, "Oh, your mom this and your mom that," and I was like, "Don't talk about my mama that way." So I walked over, and I noticed he was doing a puzzle, and I grabbed all his puzzle pieces and shoved them in my mouth, chewed them up, and then swallowed them. I was like, "You're never gonna be able to finish that puzzle," and they were like, "I've been working for 3 weeks on this puzzle, man." We'll talk about my mom. Well, we talked about my mom before. Yeah, that was just me being a 13-year-old kid, just being spunky and just being funny about things. But I think around like, so I started using like drugs and alcohol when I was like 9 and 10 years old. That was something that kind of like went in through like the children's home and stuff. So I kind of got to like experience something that was different and really helped me throughout my life. To this day, I still smoke marijuana, but it just I don't, you know what I mean? It's just something more of like something that's just mellowed me out. Because without certain things, like I feel like I'm just, you know, here and there. But yeah, and then yeah, I don't know. But, there's so much more. I don't know where to.
Just pick the plane up anywhere it comes to you.
At this point, it's kind of like a Darren Aronofsky film. It's like we're going to go late into the future, go into the past, go into the future. but yeah. So through high school, after high school, I ended up in Florida with my mom for like 8 months or something like that. I met a girl that was there. She was like obsessed with me, so I was like, "Oh, this is cute." Da, 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 da. So I followed her all the way back to Indiana. Ended up living with my uncle for a while. Um, then I met Kaya, and then I was with her for about 4 years, and then that drove me all the way to here to Ohio, where I met a bunch of friends and whatnot, which is strange because I kind of had like like a target on my head when I got out here when I was younger, because like all the stories she would tell everybody, thinking that I was somebody different than what I was. And then I was homeless out here for a while, and then I ended up getting a job at Goodwill and then McDonald's at the same time. So I was working 2 jobs. Ended up in my own place at the time. Um, Stayed out here for 5 years or so. I was in a band called Morphine, and we did a lot of shows out in Columbus, out Alrosa Villa. Like we did all kinds of stuff. Something I've always wanted to do was just to be able to play music on stage and be able to make music, where I can, like let people know like this is kind of what's going on. So, but yeah, it's been wild, man. I don't.
Yeah, I remember you sharing that music with me. It's like very like Seven Dust esque
Yeah,
style music. Yeah,
it was kind of like a Seven Dust meets like grunge, hip hop, kind of weird stuff. Yeah, and I got to open up for some of my favorite bands and whatnot. Um, but yeah, life has just been weird, dude. Uh, Came back when I was like 25 or 26. Ended up in another band called Ecstasy, and we did a bunch of shows together with my friend who must not be named because he doesn't want to be named on things. He's a weirdo, but I'll just give him the respect of that.
yeah.
But yeah, we did a lot of shows. We ended up with a management contract with a major label, and then I ended up having my first son, Caius, at 27, and yeah, I worked my butt off. I I wanted to be the best father I possibly could. So I ended up at a job at Wendy's when I first heard she got pregnant and whatnot, and then I got a second job over at Walgreens. That was over at East Side, East Washington Street, and then ended up getting a job that was really good. I was a machine operator for a place called CTC out in Franklin. They ended up becoming Boucher Aluminum Technology. That was one of my favorite jobs I ever had because I was by myself. I didn't have to worry about anybody. I could work on my stuff my own way and whatnot. And then one point I had to go home because I got my manager, my supervisor, whatever, ended up getting a phone call from my children's mom saying that somebody just broke into the house. And at the time, I only had this little Chevy Aveo that my sister got me, or she had let me buy from her, and it was like this little 5-speed. I can only go 90 miles an hour, so I made it from Franklin to the east side of Indianapolis in like 25 minutes or something like that. I was just full on, just this little
limitations. Statute of limitations. He must be
right.
It's too late. It's too late.
But 90 the whole way, bro. But yeah, I ended up finding out that, somebody came in, broke in my house, and we ended up moving with my grandmother for a little while. And then, I worked at a foundry, and I remember one night, like, I came home and my she was gone, my kid was gone, and that kind of threw me into a downward spiral for a long time, just chasing my kid around. Now I'm here where I'm at now, but yeah, there's so much. My head's like unfolding on like all these things that are happening, or have happened in my life. So
yeah, well, we're an hour in, so
Whew. That's it. But goodness gracious, man, life has just been very, very interesting. And so past 11 years I have been like kind of chasing my kids around, trying to figure out where they're at, because I don't know why their mother has something so much against me, and like I did something, you know what I mean, wrong. All I did was ever support her, you know what I mean? And I would love it if she would just reach out at some point. But my kids are my life, man. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. This is why I did the 2-year walk that I did from, Albany, Oregon to Portland, Oregon. Got a bus all the way to Florida, walked around Florida for a whole year. And like I was just lost for a while, just trying to figure out why is it so much that a person is trying to do the right thing and being tested the hardest. And now I'm figuring it out. And it's because like when people don't let go and give it up and let go to the Lord, and like he will keep testing you. Like, oh, you think that, it's crazy. Like I learned a lot from being out on the road by myself, and he's always there. He's always around. If you need anything, like it's there, and I just, yeah.
well, it's like something we repeat on Morning Word all the time. We say, because you hear a lot of people say, a lot of Christians will say this too. They say, "Well, God will never give you more than you can handle," and I go, "Baloney, baloney." I didn't. First of all, I didn't read that anywhere in Scripture.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that's ever spent some time in their Bible, you're not going to find that there. You're never going to find it because it's not in there. As a matter of fact, God's going to hand you more than you can handle. Why? Why is he going to hand you more than you can handle? Because he wants you to lean on him.
Mm-hmm.
Once you fully rely on him, fully rely on God, frog, right? Fully rely on God. Once you fully rely on God, that's where peace can actually come in, no matter the storm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I learned from that. Like the yeah, I, that the whole journey, like going through Albany. I did a bunch of drugs with some people that were homeless because I wanted to understand that lifestyle, what was going on, put myself down in that level, and and I learned a lot, man. A lot of people are just so lost; they feel comfortable, but in being just who they are. You know what I mean? In that comfortability, a lot of people don't even want help. They just want to keep in that mode. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. Sorry, my.
I was gonna say,
I'm
I
trying.
see people trying to numb themselves, trying to just close themselves off from the world. Like, if I can just pretend that it doesn't exist for a while, then everything will be okay. And as a matter of fact, it's the inverse that is going to actually break you through when you can face the world, knowing that God's on your side. Not you don't have to be on His side because He's already on your side.
Mm,
Once you realize He's on your side, then you can face all that stuff, and then all this storm, so to speak, everything that you feared for so long that you wanted to close yourself off from wasn't actually nearly as bad as because we build it up in our minds.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people, obviously bad things happen. People, some people really just do suck. Um, but that's just how life is. And um, we can either sit in a blame game, like because that's unhealthy, right? That's not gonna help
Mm-hmm.
anybody. Because if you just continue to point fingers your entire life, never will that panic because you're only hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Because they're not thinking about you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you've seen that often when you finally come and confront someone. They're like, "Really? You thought all this? I had no idea."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot of the times just because when you get into that headspace where it's kind of you constantly collect, or overthink anything like small things and whatnot. Yeah, it's usually that. This is something that I'm learning to do. Is sorry. So no, this is one thing I'm learning to do is just learning to stop blaming. You know what I mean? I could blame everybody in my life for the things that they've done, but at a point in my life, you have to let it go. You don't have to forget. You can forgive them all.
Mhm.
And it's just we don't have enough time to keep blaming people. I'm gonna put it straight up. We don't have enough time to keep blaming people. There's so much more important stuff to do than sit here in this dramatic sense of living anymore. Like we all grew up on this Jerry Springer stuff, that we're bred and programmed to think that that's a normal way of living. Like we got to stop doing it. Like, and and this is where I'm learning. This is when my whole adventure. I can sum it up from my whole life. Not to cut it like short or anything. It's just like me reliving my life is just that's something that I'm trying to get past because
Moving forward.
yeah, move forward because so that whole experience. Okay, remember when I was on the phone with you when I was in Orlando and I was homeless and I was like sleeping out by the lakes and stuff like that, and I had that revelation, and so some stuff happened to me that like is making this whole life seem a lot different and more real. And that's my thing is like we don't have enough time to keep doing what we're doing. Like if we don't stop anything that's going on now, like we're gonna keep hurting our future, which is our children, and we're you know that's all I gotta say is we just don't have enough time to keep doing the same thing we've been doing our whole lives. We gotta make a change and a difference now, or we're gonna lose everything that we have. It's should be pretty obvious to everybody, but at the same time, yeah. Um, but yeah, it's been an adventurous life, dude, to say the least. without going into too much. I don't know. I feel like right now, moving forward in my life, I'm trying to build more of a way that I can go out and start helping more people become more sensitive and understanding the things that are going on, and realizing that we as the people are the 99% and they are the 1% that is trying to take over everything, and we should do something different. We have our own community, man. We don't need somebody to tell us not to steal, to not to lie. We don't need people to keep telling us that. And like, we should have that inside of ourselves to be morally driven to, you know, to be able to exist in a society. There's got to be give, not always take. Keep taking everything, you know what I mean? We're not gonna have anything left. So
Yeah. You talked about it earlier too, like building, right?
yes.
You talked about it earlier on, like talking about Jesus specifically. It's like, oh, well, it hit on something, because Jesus is referred to as the cornerstone.
Mm-hmm.
And what does every building have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because of course it's got footers, it's got walls, it's got a room for sleeping, a room for hanging out, all these things. But when you build a building, there must be a cornerstone, something that sets everything in motion to where everything can be built upon that cornerstone.
Right.
And Jesus is called that cornerstone. He's the foundation. He can either be the rock that smashes us into pieces, or he can just be a stumbling block that we can build upon. We're going to mess up. We're human beings. We're right. We know that. We talked about, you just talked about, like, I wish it were different. I wish that we knew not to kill, steal, and destroy, but that's just kind of, we're humans, and it's built into us some way or another because of the fall,
Yeah.
So we're all have fallen short of the glory of God. Everyone has sinned. Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I call it the equalizer verse. Because it equalizes everybody on the same playing field, right?
Yeah.
Straight up, that you can't escape it. Everybody has fallen short of the glory of God, and we can only reconcile it with the one. He called it. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me." And so, him being the cornerstone, and him being the way, the truth, and the life, the only way to get to the Father, the only way to heaven. Now we have something to build on.
Yeah.
Now, and we realize that the sins that we had, we're gonna have to repent of those, because we have to give those over, right? Otherwise, we're still hanging on to our pride. If we're like, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't ever lust after a woman in a wrongful way. I didn't ever do that. Yeah. But if we were able to fully give ourselves over to God in that way, like strip the ego. I know you and I've had those discussions before. Strip the ego away, edging God out, as my good friend AC puts it, and become that new creature that Christ wants us to be through Him, and that Holy Spirit fills us up, and it starts working in us. And instead of us going out and wanting to do good just because we want to do good, because you're a good person, I'm a good person, so we want to do good stuff, but when we do good stuff on our own, it's filthy rags. Right? It's filthy rags, because it's still a selfish act.
Yeah.
It's still like, oh, that I did that because it felt good to me. And then you have, when the Holy Spirit drives you to do it, it's your driving force, and you're doing good because it has shown you where you need to be. It's not like I just didn't want to decide one day decide I wanted to do 3 years of a homeless ministry with my cousin Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where, yes, I was selfish, and I went out and I did those things, and I was like, and you hear that I, because that was the things those were the times that I was selfish, and I'm fully willing to admit that. But the times that I went out without any agenda and just was like, I was just there, we had those beautiful moments where, like, there was this fella named Melvin, and Melvin just acquired a job. He'd been living behind the library downtown Indianapolis for years. Just acquired a job. He needed size 8 steel toe boots. He's going to start work that following Monday. So, and we were always down there on Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes Fridays. And we had this Facebook group where we were having things sent to my house, so we could take it out there and hand it out like toiletries and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, by any chance, can anybody supply either a slightly used or brand new pair of size 8 work boots, steel toe, preferably black, because that's what this workplace requires. Now, just before we left that day to go because we were getting ready to leave, I guess we had just freshly packed Johnny's truck because he had more space. I had my Jeep at the time. Remember that old red Jeep I had? Beat up.
Oh yeah.
Rust.
Yeah.
And one more package shows up just before we leave. I ripped that box open so fast you wouldn't believe, because I was like, "Wow, it's got to be. What do you think I found at the bottom of that box? Brand new, never used, still smell the leather on them. Size 8 steel toe working boots, black.
What?
Wolverines, by the way, too, like the good stuff.
Wolverines.
Yeah. Like, I mean, those were not cheap. Someone paid for those right out and sent them to my house.
That's how that works.
Yeah. And so we go down there, and I see Melvin, and he's out there, and we're getting him the toiletries and stuff, just like everybody else, and everybody's fed and everybody's taken care of. Some people got some new clothes and things, and it was really great. And the boots were still in the back of my vehicle because I didn't want anybody to come after him, because that's brand new stuff like that. Got to be careful. And so as everything was winding down, I said, Melvin, please stick around until after everybody's gone. So he does, and we go over to my Jeep, which is parked on the side street by the library, and as we're praying, I'm lifting up my lift gate to the back of my Jeep, and I had a blacked out plastic bag that I had saved, and I put him in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this is the answer to that prayer you had. And he goes, what? I said, yeah. Open those up. He goes, new? I said, yep. Brand new. All yours. Grown man, just fountain.
Oh,
Crumples to his knees. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Yes. Thank God. Wasn't me. There's nothing attached to it. Nobody there's no return address. I have no idea who sent them to this day.
that's so interesting. Yep.
And so he's weeping and he's crying, and we're praying again, because it's awesome. Right. And, I said, so, what do you think about all of this? He goes, praise God, man. I'm going to go to work tomorrow, and I'm going to work so hard, and I'm not going to be on this street no more.
Yeah.
And I said, well, there's a shelter not too far from here, and I know it's on the bus route. Would you like to go there? I said, I know they got a bed left. I asked beforehand if they'd hold one for him. So they did. So we dropped him off. He was on the bus route. And after 3 weeks of returning back down there, Melvin didn't need to get stuff from us anymore. He's self-sustaining, buddy. Self-sustaining. And it's just, what are the chances, right? What are the chances that just before we leave? Because if we left 15 seconds sooner, no boots.
Right.
On time anyway, and he doesn't get the job.
Mm-hmm.
He might have got them the following week, but then what good would they be?
Right.
They just dropped the package off. I look back and I'm like, well, I could have opened that box up.
That's how I had it explained too. Like the 2 years I was out on the road walking around, like every time, like I never went hungry. I never went, without water. or anything. Like if I needed something, if I need, say I even needed a cigarette at some point, just sitting down just to be able to think to myself after a journey, you know what I mean? And somebody would come over, and like hand me a $20 bill out of nowhere. I didn't even ask. I didn't have any signs, nothing. I didn't beg for anything. I didn't want to beg. I even at one point there was a guy who would ask me if I wanted to ride to Portland. And I was already 30 miles in, and he was like, "Oh, you dude, you got 40, 50 miles, something like that to go. Like, I'll give you a ride." And I told him, I was like, "No, I want to walk." Something and just something told me that I needed to walk, and I would suggest anybody at least like take that journey. You're gonna learn so much about yourself and how to get closer to God in that sense, because you'll realize that it's not just you out there. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's brought me even closer and to God and to be able to like realize that there's something beyond that me that's going on here. So, but yeah, um, I yeah, just life's crazy, man. And, just yeah.
Well, I recall a time when you were working with some turkeys.
Oh yeah, in Oregon. Yeah, I was I was helping a friend remove a bunch of um um apple trees and pear trees and stuff, and my friend Yana, she had a bunch of turkeys out there that we go feed every morning and whatnot, like tend to it, and we were trying to remove the trees and stuff like that. Um, that was like right when I first got, I think right when I first got to Oregon too. Um,
Because I remember seeing some video clips that you shared on your Facebook and stuff, and then you kind of told me a little bit about it later on, but you were like, "Those are my buddies."
yeah, yeah, my little buddies. Yeah, I would go out there and just like see, so what happened was I went through a DCS case for my children, and in which right now I'm following up with with probation in court right now for but I had a DUI.
That for legal purposes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but but I had um I had some legal problems back in the day, and which ended up DCS getting called. Had whole year DCS case, ended up losing the case, even though I was biking 6 miles a day, 6 days a week to go work at a pasta place, and like DCS. I don't know what they did. They kind of everybody knows those places and are not good. You know what I mean? And
Corruption. Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, I ended up losing the whole thing. I ended up taking off. I didn't realize I had a warrant out for my arrest at the time, but I ended up running away, basically trying to find myself because I lost my mind. I was like, I now do not get to see my kids. Like after all of this work I keep putting in, to see my kids, my mental health is drained out of nowhere. I have anxiety problems really bad that I'm trying to work through because of this stuff. And I took off for 2 years because I was trying to find myself, and I ended up in Oregon because that's a place that I always felt like I could just get away. It's so vast out there. Like you can get lost. There's people that just walk into a forest, get lost, And that's kind of why I went out there to find myself. And then something told me like I was in a halfway house, trying to get better and get my life on track. And one day I walked into work, and there while I was working at this place in Albany, Oregon. I walked in there and they gave me my last check, and they're like, "Sorry, bud, we can't have you here anymore." And I was like, "What for?" And they never told me. But I went back 2 days later. Or I went back to the halfway house, and 2 days later, I packed up a bag and told the person that was running it. I was like, "I'm leaving." He's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going for a walk. I'm going to walk all the way to Portland." He's like, "Dude, that's like 100 miles. It's crazy," or something like that. And I was like, I have to. Something is just telling me. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are out there that have that, you know, that thing that's in them that's telling them just, hey, to pack up your stuff and just go. And I was fine the whole time. I was always fed, you know what I mean? Everything. So, um, but yeah, and that all landed me in Florida. And I have to go. This is the story I was wanting to talk about, because what happened in Florida with me and my friend that must be not be named. um, so we ended up taking some hallucinogens one night, and I walked from Sebring all the way to Lake Placid. It was like 25 miles or something like that. At the time, I didn't even care about walking that distance. It was just, as a thing, throw on some music, a couple albums, and just kind of go with it. But anyway, that night in his garage, we had an entity, a deity that came and visited us, and he kept asking us, what side we were on, and the whole time I didn't know what was really going on, and then it all clicked, and I was like, oh, this is happening. And that's when shortly I ended up in Orlando with you, and Orlando, and talking to you and going like, Bub, something's happening. I don't know what's going on, but I can tell you this is not a, and then ever since then, the past couple of years, you can see it all over the world. It's just gotten just significantly more, crazy, like I know what time, we should know what time it is, and like we don't have much time left to sit here and do what we're doing. We got to do something different, but yeah, that was just, it was just crazy. I'm sorry, like I know I'm like I'm not used to doing this like podcast thing. It's very different for me.
Well, here's the thing, like scripture talks about children seeing visions. You'll know you'll know the times by this, because you won't, no man knows the day nor the hour, right? But
yeah.
but you'll know the season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why? Because of all the things that are happening. Because of the river drying up over there in Africa. This river was flowing not that long ago, and then all of a sudden not flowing.
Yep.
Things turning to there's other rivers that have turned to blood. Not blood, necessarily, but like they're red.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're just, obviously we know now scientifically, looking back at it, it was metaphorical. When things turned to blood, it was likely a heavy amount of clay that was leaking out into. But where did the clay come from? Because there should be no sedimentary clay, because it's all rock that these rivers are flowing on, and no matter how much they eroded, there was more and more rock underneath, and yet these rivers are turning red. I wonder where I've read that before.
Right. Yeah.
Wars and rumors of wars and all.
Yeah.
And the third temple and all this other stuff, because people are paying attention to that. They're talking about the red heifer and things, all the things that are spelled out in Revelation explicitly.
Yep.
And they're trying. I think what's happening is that this is an attempt to try to speed up God's timeline.
Yeah.
I don't think it's actually the end right now. I think it's an attempt to speed up that timeline. They think that if they do certain things and try to make certain things happen, there's an agenda to do so, that they can jumpstart the evil lurking a little faster, and that's just not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
No, and this is not how this is gonna end. Like if I have anything to do with going out there, and I'm putting my life on the line now and going out and speaking upon people and telling them, like, I'll be the soothsayer. You know what I mean? I'll be the soapbox hero. I don't care. Like, I'm tired of everybody living this life of. This is why I don't like going to bars anymore. This is like, I'll go and sing and stuff and like, whatnot. But like a lot of the reasons, because it's the same. It's the same thing. There's demons everywhere in there, and you can see it. and I'm just so surprised that we keep going in and diving ourselves into this stuff. It's like it's a circle of hell, man, for everybody. There's little circles of hell going all around everybody, and it's my whole point to being able to do this and taking off in our bus and stuff is like raising more awareness that we need to stop and control ourselves now. We need to put the actual emergency brakes on. Like I so much entice people to kind of look at alternatives rather than keep feeding the system the way it is, you know? Because if we keep pumping our hours, our hard-earned hours into these things, and all these taxpayers using the money for what they're using, like it's never going to stop. We have to have a different alternative route. My fiance was talking about this earlier, and it opened my eyes a lot more to what I want to do and how I want to approach things. You know, carrying on with like, you know, meeting people and music and this all this stuff, but realizing that we're all still children. We're all adolescent at heart. We're all still children. None of us have really grown up. We're still there. And I don't think it's the fact that people don't care about what's going on. I think that they're naive to it. They don't know. And like it scares people to the point that they don't want to know. You know? But you have to understand that this is going on. And I want to be a voice to that. And she told me that you got to talk to people like kids now. Like people, like say, like you go into a dark room and there's no lights, but you got to find the light switch, and the kid's like, oh, I can't find it, it's too dark in there, and instead of yelling at them, be like, go and find the switch, instead of doing that, you go, hey man, there's a light switch on there. If you turn on the light, you'll be able to see things better. Kind of the new approach of things, not being so angry, because I lived my life so angry and so bitter at like how everything has turned out. I'm like disappointed in people, and it's because I love everybody so much. I know that we can do so much better, man. And coming from the person like that's I like if I were to tell all the real stories and stuff, like I wanted to kind of PG it up a bit just because I wanted to get to the point of everything. But I could have turned out to be a really bad person, like all the anger that I had as a kid, all the neglect and all this stuff. I mean, I had the perfect story for somebody who would have been something very horrendous of a person, and I built myself to be that person because I still have love, and that love is grinding me to be able to go out there and help more people, and to be able to, and it's not for myself. I don't. It's because something has to be done. That's it.
Yeah, it's not choosing to be a victim, but rather a victor.
Yeah, like I have a person that's very supportive and wants to do the same thing, and she's we have to go tell people that this has got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all love to be entertained and have our little trinkets and our shiny objects and stuff, but at some point we got to realize that we're wasting our time on it. So I keep trying to be tell people, like, oh, these little trinkets that we work for, we got to buy a little thing for like $30, and it's like, it takes me 2 hours to work for that kind of money. You know what I mean? And I just want people to be more aware of the actuality of things and the real life things that are happening now. If we don't stop, then it's gonna,
Yeah, it's like it's this life that so many people get caught up on, the lie of more, right? The lie of
yeah.
I need,
Oh,
and it's really I want. And why do you want? Because you've been lied to.
yeah.
Been lied to. What and why do I say that you've been lied to? Because you don't have to keep up with the Joneses. Well, they have, so, but that's nicer than what I got. Okay.
That right there is how I know that we're still adolescent children, because we build everything off of boredom, right? I think that can be fair. We build a lot of this entertainment for boredom. Like I know that this whole keeping up with the stars and celebrities, or they're living this fantasy life of, that they put themselves vicariously in their position, and they worked so hard to be that, you know, to get on these like TikToks and YouTubes and stuff like that, to be able to try and be famous and stuff. And then now, yeah, and it's just like, why? What is the purpose of, you know, selfishly gaining something that you're, as soon as you die, you're just, what, you want a prettier casket? You know what I mean? Like, what do you really want? Like, what more can you want from this place?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, going back and teaching things out of the Bible is how to like control yourself. Like, we weren't supposed to like breed like friggin', you know, ants, you know. We were supposed to be, you know, this is like our Eden. Like, we turned Eden into what it is now, and I think we could do better. That's all. I think we could do a lot better.
Well, and you reminded me of a few things when you were talking. But one thing that stuck out, it's a scripture that stuck out in my mind when you were talking, is a good man leaves an inheritance to his children and his children's children. What does that mean? Well, let's take a look at it, because it's not talking about finance. People always go immediately to finances.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to realize that when the Bible talks about stuff like that, there's time, talents, and treasures, and that we can lean on that for another time. We're talking about tithing and all that stuff. But when we're talking about inheritance, we're talking about legacy. So maybe you are a good man and you're broke. That's okay. What are you teaching the next generation?
Yeah, exactly. What do you value? What do you really value? That's something I teach in a lot of my songs, is driving that down people's throat. Is like, what do you value? What is worth the time that you are wasting? You know, everyone has this like fictitious like timeline in their head that they're just living forever. That every minute that they're at the bar is just like, you know, cutting time or freezing time to have good fun. And I wrote a song called Carousel about this. It's basically saying like, how much fun can you guys have until you realize you turn around and you have a lot of work to do, you know? And in the sense of like, hey, you can take all the vacation you want in the world, you know, but once you get back home, you realize, man, there's dust on this, or I got to clean this. I forgot to check my mail. Now my bills are late, you know, kind of thing. Like, it's all metaphorical for the like how things are going. We're just having, people just are so distracted with having fun instead of actually getting to real work. You don't have to show up to a job to do work. Like, there's so much other things that are going on that we can be investing our time in to be able to make it, you know, a little easier.
Yeah, the time, talents, and treasures. That's the true tithe. So,
Yeah.
and what I've talked about this with a few different pastors. So I have friends that are pastors, which seems weird to me nowadays. But I've talked with them, and I said, you know, a lot of people, or I hear a lot of pastors say when they talk about tithing, they talk about giving 10%, and they always talk about your check, your paycheck. But it does not. I didn't read that. And when you go back and look at it, because God's always wanting you to give of your time, talents, and treasures. Well, what do you have that you can give? Some people have a lot of time, but they don't have any talents or treasures.
Mm.
So maybe they can be a regular usher down at the church, because that's what they can give. That's what they have. Some people have a lot of talent, but they don't have a whole lot of time, and they don't have a whole lot of treasure.
Right.
Well, so, hey, well, at least every now and then they're on the singing group. You know, they got that talent. They're coming out, you know, or they're doing it, you know, they're busking outside of their house, whatever, you know, whatever it is, where they're giving that tithing unto God. Well, the treasures. Maybe they don't have any time, maybe they don't have any talent, but they have a whole lot of treasure. Well, then certainly that can be financial. If that's all they have, then that's when they can give.
Right.
It's some people's role. I mean, because we talk about the body of the church being the body of Christ. Well, the foot can't do what the hand can do, and the hand can't do what the eye can do, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So why would tithing be any different? Why? Well, everybody across the board has to give 10% of their money. Not everybody can give 10% of their money because they don't have it.
Right.
10% is, it's either I pay rent or I buy groceries, and what do I have left? And
Right.
I've heard this excuse before where people say, oh, well, if you just give that 10% down at the church, you'll still have money. God will still provide it. That's not what God said.
Mm-mm.
Read that anywhere. He said, give your best 10%, by the way.
Right. And it's not material, or it could be your time. Time is a value. The time is a currency. Like, time is the currency of the universe. Like, you know what I mean? And that's something that we need to spend more time on rather than trying to make money, because that's just destroying everybody. It's divided everybody. I mean, why are we living in the times where we're stealing from our neighbors? That should be a cue for a lot of people, what's going on.
Yeah. And you want to ask questions like, why aren't you just, for some people, they're really good at prayer. Like, they're really good at prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have this, like in my house, I have my studio, and it's soundproofed. So it's definitely quiet over there. And so if I'm over there and I'm in one of the couches or chairs or something like that, I could sit there in my solitude and I can pray, and I can pray harder. And even if I go into tears, and if I lay out prostrate, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's me and God. I can give that to God.
Yeah.
And I think people have lost that.
Yeah, the personalness. Yeah. Yeah, because that's what, that's something I've been stressing about too. Is just like people that do things like for show. This it's not, you're not doing it for you or anybody. You're doing it for you. You're not doing it for anybody else. Like we were speaking on earlier. And I think we should start sacrificing that money for time for people, because this is the time and this is the place to do it. Especially in the world of events that are going on, we need each other more than ever.
Yeah, and Jesus pointed that out too. Talked about those who gave something, and immediately went around telling everybody about it. They got their just desserts about it, their accolades here.
Right.
But if you go out and you just give, like, I know that you talked about giving the $50 of your birthday money, but I mean, it wasn't something that you intended on, like, 20 years from now, I'm going to be bragging about this. Like, it was something that happened, and he did it. And likely, maybe 1-2 times you told anybody about it.
Right.
And it was never intended for that. It was just like to show a case of like,
self-respect.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And it wasn't, you knew it wasn't for you. That's the point. And that's where you don't, like, that the accolades come from eternity, come from heaven. This comes from God, because we didn't ask for anything in return. It was the Holy Spirit led. It was something outside of ourselves that said, this has to happen this way.
Mm-hmm. And there's callings for that around the entire world for people. They just pay attention, And any moments where we stop being distracted, we can realize and see, that there's our moments that we have to have. It's I've had it so many times where I've come across people and just at the right time and go like, hey, are you okay? Just this simple, are you okay? Do you need somebody to talk to for 45 minutes to an hour? That's just giving time. That's free. It's free currency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we should, as people, like, need to harness more on that instead of just, instead of what we want in life, we need to figure out what other people need.
Yeah.
That's guidance. We need father figures. We need teachers. Like, everybody's so focused on, our adolescent life. Like, I always tell people that it should be said of a thing that, when they ask us what we want to be when we grow up, we're still in that adolescent mind of being a kid. We still want to be a cop. We still want to be this, but what was it for? I always ask therapists all the time, would you still do your job if you weren't getting paid for it?
Right.
That's what is it really worth? Are you really here to help people, or are you here just to collect a paycheck? Because we need more people that are just going to care more about that than collecting a paycheck. Because at the end of the day, that person that you're leaving off is, you don't know what's going to happen to that person, and the time that the value of time can be felt. You know what I mean? If it's genuine with people,
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes back to something that Sterling says quite a bit, and I'm up for. He's told me where he told me where he got it from before, but it's the idea of of being able to give your time like that, but when it's a stranger, because the only thing that they know about Jesus is a swear word, right? Like that's what they think.
Yeah.
Right. But you could be the only time they ever actually hear about it differently.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the only time that they ever actually understand that there was a God manifested in the flesh, lived for 33 years, a sinless life, death, burial, and resurrection, carried our sins far away. That could be the only time they ever hear that sacrifice was made for us. Because they don't know.
Right.
And it would floor you. How many times I've had interactions where I've talked with people, and Sterling has had that too, where because this is the easiest way to talk to someone. Can I pray for you? I think out of almost 30 years of asking people if I can pray for them, I think I've only had 2 ever say, "No, I don't want that." And I'm always floored. Both times I was floored, but everybody else, non-believer, atheist, anything, you know what they say? Yeah, that doesn't sound like a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to talking, and then I always heard people say the name Jesus on television programs, and I'd see the little cartoon on South Park, or
Mm-hmm.
that's their reference. That's their whole frame of reference of what Jesus, Jesus is. Not the real living, breathing Jesus that is still alive in heaven right now, sitting at the right hand of God. And they're out there, man. They're out there. They don't know.
Lost. Yep.
And Matthew 28:19 says, "Go out into the world and make disciples." All the world make disciples. It's a great commission. We are supposed to go out into all the world and make disciples. That's our mission. As Christians, we're supposed to go out, tell everybody, hey, it's good news. It's good news. You don't have to live this way. Life's still going to be hard. It's still going to, because life sucks. But guess what? Guess what? Jesus said that in this world you will have tribulations, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. That would be it could be the first time anybody ever hears that.
Mm-hmm.
And you may just blow their wig cap off. Now I know I've had a few people that have refused it, and said, but the seed's planted.
Mm-hmm.
And how a mountain is moved? The faith of a mustard seed. That's what Jesus tells disciples. The faith, the size of a mustard seed. You know how small a mustard seed is?
Yeah.
Smaller than a grain of sand.
That makes sense. Yeah, the smallest of faith can move a mountain.
Mm-hmm. And here's the real kicker. Have you ever seen a mustard tree?
No.
They're huge.
Really?
They grow up out of rocks. They grow up out of just about any kind of ground.
Just from that small little seed, huh?
Uh-huh.
That's crazy.
And Jesus knew exactly what he was saying when he said it, because usually a lot of the metaphors that come from Jesus, he was upset with a fig tree a couple times, and but the mustard seed was very, very poignant to say this that you can't even see it, how small it is. This is all the faith it takes to move a mountain, to change everything.
Right.
You can rock somebody's world by just praying for them.
Yep. And then that's just going to show how much we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's my life's mission. Like I I believe at this moment everybody is kind of lost in limbo. And some people need that either fear or that little bit of love, or that, like you see, that mustard seed of faith. Just that little bit, just to get us somewhere, because like everybody is losing it. Like we can't even trust in certain things, our entities of government, or this and this and that. We can't trust those anymore, and it's going to come back to like, hey, do you trust yourselves? Do you really do you really trust yourselves? Are you really comfortable enough to say that if you were to become in front of God, that you can honestly say that you've fulfilled yourself as being a righteous person? That's my biggest thing, like, is becoming more of a righteous person. We were born into sin, right? We came here dirty, Who's to say that we're, over the times, that we're not cleaning ourselves of the things to become more righteous? And I think that's not to do it, like I say this all the time, not to do it because of God, do it for him. You know what I mean? As in like, or Jesus, in the sense of like, if this person died for all of our sins, why aren't we doing enough work as ourselves and sacrificing ourselves to do more? Why are we just kind of lousing around waiting for our ticket into heaven? It doesn't work like that. You actually have to put in work here. This is a test, guys. What did you expect? You know what I mean? Like, you don't think that Jesus is gonna get whooped up a hill 100 and some times, and he's and whatnot, and then we're just like sitting here on our Netflix, just like, oh well, we're gonna get our ticket into heaven by doing just absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm kind of being harsh about it, but like
so it's the right way to go about it. We do it on Morning Word too. It's like, my good friend Bo, he's awesome. He's a great mentor, by the way. Met him in 2007 during a church retreat. I'd love for you to go through it, by the way. When you get here in India, I'm gonna have to be your sponsor and get you to go. It's like 3 days of fantastic. Okay. Fantastic. I think it'd be just a great time of reflection for you. My brother went through it. My dad went through it. They both loved it. But anyhow, Bo taught me tradition. So breaking free from tradition is very important, because within Christianity, you have so many of these people that go through and they're just living their life. They said their magic prayer, so now we're good, God. I said my magic prayer, so now I can just go and live my life however I want to. It's like that one commercial where the lady's got all their pictures up on the wall, and she says, "I unfriend you," and she takes the picture off the wall, and they're like, "That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works." Point, right?
Right.
So you can't just say the magic prayer, as we talked about before. Repentance, obviously. You can't reconcile without it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you go to your parents and they know what you did, you know what they did, they know what you did, but you don't say out loud, "This is what I did, and I wish you would forgive me. Can you forgive me?"
Right.
That doesn't come without that. Your parents are going to be livid that you don't open up about that. They're going to be, and more importantly than anger, they'll be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first test, repentance. Oh, and then we understand that Jesus was here. He's the sacrifice. He told us all while he was here. When he was here, he told the disciples over and over again. They're going, "What? I don't understand, teacher. I don't understand, Rabbi. I don't understand, Master." He's going over and over. Pete becomes his, one of his best Peter becomes one of his best guys. He says on the rock on which my church will be built. But all the way, he's the one that's the most frustrating because he had to keep telling Peter 3 times.
Say hello.
And that's us. That is so us, where we're failing the test. We're failing the test if we think that we can just say this magic prayer, the empty platitude, and that's it. I'm good. I'm going to heaven, so I don't have to obey any of the other stuff.
Right.
You're missing the point. Obey is part of it. Obey is I know it's a weird word to hear, but obey is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't obey, the new creature doesn't come forth, and you just go back to living the life the way you would, and then you say, "Oh well, I go to church every Sunday." Oh, so you go to ritual. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
But no, you don't understand. I go to Sunday night. I go to Wednesday night. Mm-hmm. But do you actually listen to what the preacher has to say? When he's when he's giving you the word, do you actually understand what he's telling you? Do you actually understand that it's in black and white and sometimes red?
Mm-hmm. And are you applying it?
Yeah.
Are you applying it to your life and being able to evolve? See, that's the biggest thing I very much want people to evolve into our better selves. The fact that we have 40, 50-year-old people that are still acting like children, not teachers. Like, that's my biggest thing is trying to get us to pay more attention to what we're doing as adults and to kids. You know what I mean? Like I can go out there and say I'm against certain, like movements and stuff because I just don't think it's healthy for, kids to be a part of. I think people should be more acceptance of the fact that we have to sacrifice our wants and our fantasies and the things that we want to do, the things that we dream about. Like, it's not about us anymore. Like, we're about to destroy a building that we built ourselves, and our kids are going to grow up in, and it's going to be dilapidated by the time that all is said and done. So what do we leave them? Does that fair for them? Not at all. We brought them here. So why do they have to keep suffering through all this? And I wish I would have been more fluid with a lot of my story about how I grew up, because a lot of how I think now was based on that. And how I'm coming more closer to God now and realizing that this isn't about me. I can't keep, I have kids now. I can't keep thinking that I want to be this and this and this and this and that. I have to realize that at some point I have to sacrifice and do what's best for them. I do the best that I can by trying to influence other people into becoming more of a parent to their kids. Like, why are we teaching them these things and whatnot? But yeah, this is my big movement now. Like, I feel that if we can go and protest the streets because of something that's happened that's, somebody made a mistake on, or because someone doesn't agree with it. I mean, why are there so many of these kids that are coming up missing? You've got Epstein Island that's happened that we funded through taxes and all this other stuff. Like, why are we not being more upset about these things? Like, that should be more concerning. Why are we, grooming our children to become, how do I say, like, sexually confused and driven at just, you know what I mean? Like, why are we doing these things? And that's why I constantly sit back and try to figure out how we can have a better direction and becoming teachers for ourselves so that we can find a direction, an alternative direction besides what inevitable end is going to happen.
Yeah, and deceivers they'll change words. Real quick, I want to say hi to Mama Lynn and hi to Steve. They both of them have been in the chat for a while, and so say hello to them real quick. But for far too long, the people have been perpetuating the lie that these changing of these words to, the meaning of compassion has changed amongst people. Yes. That word doesn't mean what it originally meant. The word doesn't mean what. Oh well, Well, they're growing up in the wrong body. You know how horrendous that is. God doesn't make a mistake. You're not in the wrong body. Somebody told you you're in the wrong body for sure. That wasn't your idea. And if you did have that thought, it was a lie. Because if we just look at numbers, raw numbers tell the truth. All those kids who decide that they want to start trying to transition, 47, 48%, somewhere in that number, they don't make it to the other side.
Right.
They take themselves out. And if they go through with it, the number goes up above 50%. Why do you think that is? Right?
I just don't think we are nervous enough of our future. You know, I just don't think we're nervous enough. I think we think this is still some game that we're playing, and that like eventually it's going to work itself out. This is another thing that I'm really adamant about teaching people too, is like we can't just sit here and wait for the second coming. You know what I mean? We're everyone's sitting around waiting for it just to happen, and like everything's going to be better afterwards. No, we have to put in the effort. Our boat is sinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then it's because of us. If we and we can't blame anybody else anymore. You know, I blame myself for not having more faith in people as I should. You know, being growing up and stuff. I wish I would have had more faith in people, and then I wish I would have known the things I know now, to be able to grow a little better. Anyways, but yeah, it's just I'm so driven towards that, just because of how I was raised as a kid, the children's home that I went through, the experiences with the occult and stuff like that I went through. I don't think people are understanding like how much is going on behind the scenes, and like how many more kids are going to be coming missing and die before we become more nervous, more scared, more fearful of what our future is becoming.
Yeah.
There's
only one fear that we should have for sure. And that's, it's a healthy dose of fear within a reverence for God.
Yeah.
And, certainly we're fully trusting in him, but because we're fully trusting in him, the Holy Spirit will lead us to all the things that we're supposed to be doing, like protecting our children, like teaching them, raise them up in the way they will go. That's also in the scripture.
Yeah.
Raise them up. Children are like arrows. We had a whole message brought by Sterling's wife, Sarah, about it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Here it was on a Faith, Family, and Politics episode, and we set them up with all the tools, right? Give them all the tools that they'll ever need, and show them that who Jesus is. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But so often now, the rug is pulled out, and the kids are shown everything they're not supposed to have any purview to, and at least until they're old enough to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Here, look at all this, and be confused about all of it because you don't understand it yet, because it's well beyond your capacity. Your mind is not ready for it. I see Steve's actively talking here in the chat. I love when Steve gets involved. He says they are fulfilling a lie that doesn't fulfill them. Likely they see that it is not fulfilling. They also likely see what they've done cannot be undone. They do not know God and feel alone. He was alone and unable to go back after the hormones and surgery. But put yourself in that mindset. The path of righteousness is lonely but necessary.
I absolutely love what they just said. The path of righteousness is lonely but necessary. It makes sense. I mean, Like, how we can't grow? How are we supposed to grow with everything else trying to pull us down? You know, and if we allow everybody else to invest in our growth as people, how are we ever going to actually find, you know, the actuality of who we are and our purpose and stuff like that? But also, you know, righteousness is it should be a common sense thing. We should be able to take care of ourselves. We're brothers and sisters, are we not?
I
You
mean,
know,
everything's in the Beatitudes, but um, we still skip right over that part so commonly.
yeah. But yeah, I love that the path of righteousness is lonely but necessary, and that just goes back to like how I went on my spiritual journey. I did it all by myself. I didn't have friends to hang out, you know, on my journey or anything. And I found like what I found feel like I found a direction in my life, like what my purpose is, you know. And it's to teach people that we are old enough now as a grown adults to become teachers. We need to start teaching people better. Like the fact that we are 40 something years old yelling at 18-year-olds, you know what I mean? Like they're still children, guys. You know, they're still children. People that are younger than us, they're still children. They're still learning. You know, for us to be upset or like start fights with like people, like we have to understand that we, in any moment, any chaotic moment, there is always some point or some lesson that we could be teaching people in that exact moment. We can't just go into the future and be like, oh, this person's about to go do this, let's go talk to them about it. That's not how that works. You know, I feel like in the exact moment of chaos is when we're supposed to be teaching the right thing, because everybody in that is alive now, all we know is chaos, all we know is drama. You know, I feel like in these moments that's what we should be, you know, driving ourselves towards more. Especially like if you're out in public, man, and you see people screaming at their kids, please, like, or is that necessary? And it's like, what is this kid doesn't even understand, you know, how to read a book. Why are you yelling about him, you know, grabbing something off his shoulder? He's just being a kid. And I think that's really important for people too. I think people should start remembering how they were when they were a kid, like how they got punished or how they got yelled at for something that wasn't, you know, necessarily their fault, how that felt, you know. Then we can start realizing why and how we're treating kids nowadays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's always certainly time for correction, but there's a difference between correction and then just plain going after it for whatever reason.
Yeah. I have a new motto that I've been saying. Everybody used to tell me all the time growing up that there's a time and place for something, because I was always that crazy kid that was like screaming in the middle of a Kroger's or doing something like that, you know. And like up until just recently, I just realized, you know, like they say there's a time and place for something, and I think people took that too far and stopped actually putting energy into doing something at any place or any time. And I think right now is the most important place and time to do what we're doing now.
Yeah, I think it had something to do with your age group too, because James was always the chaos between us two growing up too, but he was a different kind of chaos. Like you were the high energy chaos. Jimmy was he was the kid that said, "But Mom, you promised," and it was over and over, and then it was throw myself to the ground, and then I'm not moving, and you're in the middle of the grocery store, and you have to. He was the kid that you saw getting dragged to the grocery store. He's the human dust mop.
Yeah,
he just his body would go limp and have protest as a child, and everybody's like, "What's going on there?" And she can't just leave him behind, but like, that's not my kid, you know. So
didn't he used to have like a Cleveland Browns like jacket back in the day or something like that?
No, he had
a brown jacket.
Steelers.
It was a Steelers jacket?
Yeah, because we were Pee Wee football, so he had Steelers and I had Notre Dame. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just remember that specific jacket.
Yeah, the football program gave us starter jackets. Those you remember the really cool puffy starter jackets?
Yeah.
We got those through our football program.
Oh, I didn't. That's really cool.
We actually did that for all the kids. We sold enough candy bars. Really great salesman, by the way.
See, I was the butthole kid that ate all the candy and gave it away to all my friends and be like, "Oh, someone stole my candy." Well, now we owe $65. How are we gonna do this? Oops. But but yeah, I really appreciate this. You let me come on here and talk a bit, and I know a lot of it was jumble. I'm not used to doing this podcast or like constantly talking about my life and stuff. So, but I'm sure at some point I'll hop on here again and we'll have more conversations and stuff like that. But yeah, I really do appreciate that, and over the years, I know you've kind of like drawn me towards like, Brad, just let go, give it to God, and it's been so hard for me because a part of me never thought I even deserved it, because having such a crazy childhood and whatnot, I was like, well, I must have did something to have this path. But and growing now, seeing these obstacles that I've gone through, now I know that I've been growing for this type of timing and place, because look at the Bible, man. Like, there's people that come out all the time, especially towards the end of certain situations, where people come up and put themselves on the lines to try and make rights of the wrongs, and this has got to be it.
Yeah, David was constantly doing that. Psalms. If you go through and read about Job, take a look at him. None of us deserve the grace of God. That's right, Mama. Thank goodness he still had enough mercy and grace to extend it to us with his son.
Give us the opportunity to make right of what we've done wrong, for sure.
Job specifically. So that was one of the books that we went completely through on Morning Word, and as we're going through it, I knew that Job had like a lot of things taken away, but this guy had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Likely all those children, adult, had their own spouses. With the sons, since he had so many sons, that the sons actually took turns each night at who was hosting dinner that night. That's how extended his family was. And so he probably, so with spouses probably come grandkids as well. So he had the 7 sons, the 3 daughters, their spouses, probably their kids. It doesn't spell it all out, but it's kind of, implied.
Mm-hmm.
He also has tons of servants, which servants doesn't mean slaves. Servants meant like they worked for him and they were close friends.
Right.
It meant a lot to him.
Right. As we should be to each other, we should serve each other, in a sense. Like, we're not slaves to each other, but at the same time, like,
they were getting wages and stuff, but even working for him, they were still,
yeah.
You can get pretty tight with a good boss, right?
Sure.
And he had tons of livestock. And he had tons of land. And a wife. We'll get to her in a minute. And the devil comes along and he poses a question to God, and he says, if I were to take all this stuff away, your boy Job curse you to your face. And God says, nope, that's my boy Job. He's righteous all the way through to his bones. He won't curse me to my face. So do what you got to do. This is not a bet. This is not a wager. So many people call it a wager. It's not a wager. God knew the outcome, right? He only allows because God only gives permission to what he knows he knows the outcome of everything.
Right.
We have permission to breathe every day, by the way. So he tells the devil, go do what you got to do. But I'm telling you, he's not going to curse me to my face. And within a matter of hours, whether by fire, wind, or sword, he loses all of his sons and daughters, likely their spouses, their children. They're all in the same house. It collapses in by the wind. Fire takes out all of his lands, his livestock. Sword takes out all of his servants. With the exception of the few that come and tell him there's one for each of those things. One tells him about his loss of his family. One tells him about the loss of his lands. One tells him about the loss of his livestock. One tells him about the loss of all the servants. That's all he's got left.
Mm-hmm.
He immediately tears his shirt, shaves his head. He's going to bring it to God. Oof. And he's like, why, God, why? You know, questions him, but he doesn't curse him. And he very poetically, he talks about he wishes he was never born and all this stuff. I mean, what kind of reaction would you have? Right?
Right.
Because all the stuff that he had, I mean, he had riches, he had all this stuff, and now he has and what seemingly is nothing. Forget the riches, but the family, the servants, the people, right? And then he has these 3 so-called friends, and they come in and they tell him, well, you know, this is so common amongst people too. And I find this in believers a lot too. You know, while all this bad stuff's happened to you, you did this because you were engaging in sin. Job tells him, like, look, dude, I'm blameless. You know, I'm upright. I'm righteous. I offered burnt offerings. I stayed prayed up for my children. Well, and one of them actually goes through and says, you know, your children were awful sinners. That's why they're dead. Almost straight up says it. Can you imagine being told that? His reaction is not murdering that guy, which is what I would think that a lot of our reactions would be as men. You just told me that my kids are awful human beings and that's why they're dead. But he doesn't. Again, he starts praying and he's talking about he's talking about the turmoil. He wishes the worms would just take him because he wishes he could just die. He lays there in the dirt. And after going through all of this back and forth between him and the 3 so-called friends, he ends up being able to talk to God. God finally answers. He says, do you know who you're talking to? Creator of everything. Right? He goes into a few more details, but basically tells him, you know, like, do you understand who you are talking to when you're talking to me? Do you understand the magnitude of what's happening here when you actually are able to communicate directly with me like this? This doesn't happen, but it's happening. Job is floored, and he gives reverence to God over. Oh, I'm so sorry, Lord. This was that what I did have this fault of not recognizing exactly who you are, not having a fear. You are in fact God. You are everything. You created all of this. I have breath right now because you gave it to me. That acknowledgement. Bear in mind, all this time, his wife is trying to tell him, just curse God and die. Well, she's probably witnessing this interaction as well with him and God, right? And she must have been reformed because God gave him everything back. And more. He got more children. He got more sons, more daughters. He got more lands, got more everything, doubled. Everything. Yes, we go through hard times and we go through a lot of pain. I want to say good evening to C Family. She's over there in the chat real quick. She's one of our regular viewers and she's awesome.
Oh, hi guys.
But yeah, he goes through and loses all that stuff, gets everything back because you see, devil, righteousness wins. That there is a level of love that God has for us that goes beyond anything that he can throw at us. He grew through that pain. So you had all these painful things happen to you in your life, but here's this wonderful cultivated crop. Right?
Yep.
It's harvest time, baby.
And I can tell you, it's like I was telling you before, like, you know, I could have turned out to be I'm going to tell you this, like the 2 years I really struggled. I remember being like out on the little bayou or whatever of Florida, you know, alligators all up, and it's raining and it's pouring, it's cold, you know, and I'm sitting here in my little tent and I got to get up in the morning. I'm just shouting. It's like, why do I keep having to go through this? And that moment that I had in the that garage with my friend who must not be named, um, it was exactly like coming face to face with God, and it was the most strangest moment I ever had, and it's changed my entire life, dude. Even so much that I met somebody who's very, you know, following the path of righteousness, and knowing that, yes, that all the obstacles that we're going to have to go through are pain and suffering, but how are we ever going to learn lessons to teach anybody if we don't even know what it is like to suffer? Who's going to believe us? You know what I mean? That's why I believe that there are people out here that are supposed to be going and walking the streets and telling people, like, hey, do we want to keep suffering? This is how we're going to end this? This is all we got? You know what I mean? Like, well, I know we got more to us. There's more love in this world than this. And like what God has taught us, no matter what you do, you know, he forgives us because he knows how our lives played out. Whether it be, you know, serial killer, whether it be somebody is a terrible person, he knows why that person played out their lives the way they did. That unconditional love, man. That's something that we really need to start spreading. We have to have enough understanding and enough wisdom to start teaching people that the way that people have lived their lives or been programmed, throughout their lives wasn't necessarily our fault, but that is our test. And that's how we got to get through this. We got to do it we got to do this for God. He brought us down here. We decided to turn this into playland, and now playland is over. We got so much work to do. But there's people out here that are pushing, man. Call us what we will, you know. And hopefully, you know, in the near future I'll have more things to, you know, be more um I can explain things a lot better. This is my first time doing this. I mean,
Yeah.
3 hours, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, testimonies are, it takes a time to really develop it. I think a lot of times, I mean,
yeah.
some people can just do it, but other times it's, you know, what do I want to open up about? What do I not want to open up about? You know, CFAM was saying, good evening to you.
Yeah, I was waving hello.
Kind of want to tell this other story. About, I know that we keep leaning in a lot of Jesus, but like a lot of your story is Jesus's, right?
Mm.
So, and you talk about like all these storms and things and all the things we go through. So I was reminded of this story. It's the disciples, they're instructed by Jesus to get on a boat, right? I'll meet you on the other side. I got to think some things I got to take care of. I'm gonna walk, and I'll meet you on the other side. He's gonna walk all the way around. Or that's what he implies. I'm gonna walk. And so they get on the boat. He's gonna meet them on the other side. And while they're out there while the disciples are out there on the boat, the storm starts raging. You know, they're pretty sure this is gonna capsize the boat. And then they see something that they're pretty sure is a ghost walking towards them out there on the water. And then they realize after a few minutes or so, it looks to be the Lord. It looks to be Jesus. So Pete leans out and he says, "Lord, if that's you, call me to you." He says, "Come to me, Peter." Peter steps out of the boat. Remind you, this is a raging sea right now. He's not just walking on water, he's walking on raging waters. Because his eyes are where?
Mm.
On Jesus. right? But at some point, he starts taking a look around and he realizes where he's at and what he's walking on. Now, the name Peter means rock, and he sunk like one right then. Why did that happen? Well, he forgot to keep his eyes on Jesus. You see, a quote was brought to us in live chat. It was actually Sterling's daughter, Serenity, and we actually put it on a T-shirt. It says, "The storm is beautiful when you have Jesus." Right? Mm-hmm. I know. I was like, yeah, that's
yeah.
And it truly is, man. Because you're like, my bills are due, and I don't know how I'm going to pay them. I got Jesus. I got this awful argument with my significant other, or my parents, or my friend, or Jesus. I lost my job. I have Jesus. My house burnt down. I have Jesus. My entire life just seems like it's crumbling all around me. I have Jesus. We just got to keep our eyes on him.
Mm-hmm.
We could list the things that are going on in our life right now, and people might be floored, going, "Oh, you were dealing with all that? Am I helping anybody out there with my problems?"
Nope.
Are you?
Yep.
You know who can't help us?
Yep.
And if our eyes are on him, doesn't matter what the storm is. It's beautiful, man. Look, we can walk right out in that rain. We can step right out in them raging seas. We can look. There's lightning. I never noticed that before. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Forrest Gump.
Okay.
And Lieutenant Dan is on the top of that flagpole, and he's like,
"Oh,
yeah. Bring it on!"
Yeah.
Right? You can't take me out.
Yep, I remember that. I love that part.
If our eyes are on Jesus, then we understand that no matter what the storm is, we got magic legs.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah. That's something I've learned, over the years, man. It's just like, I still have my anxieties, I still have my fears, I still have my, my judgment on like what I want to understand and what I believe. But there's no denial, like I said, like over the past few years, it seems like if I do the right thing, that everything, if I do what is right in the world, that everything will be provided. If I have faith in doing it for the right reasons, then things are going to be provided. I'm not saying money, I'm not saying car, I'm not saying this and that. Just where I belong as a person, I know that I'm following the right footsteps because he's been laying the path out for me like none other since I have been back in Ohio. And I can tell you, like, yeah. That's yeah.
That's why the road is narrow, because it's hard for people to understand that repentance and belief and obeying. So it's hard for people to understand that that's too easy. Is it? Is it though? Are you going through it?
Right?
Not easy.
Don't you see? The devil wants you to seem easy. That's what he wants. That I always just tell people, cyanide tastes like sweet.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you for a second?
You know what I mean? Just because it tastes like candy doesn't mean it's good for you.
That's right.
Oh, that's okay.
No, I heard the cyanide tastes like sweet tea. Is that what you said?
It's sweet candy, yeah.
Sweet candy, yeah.
It's like, if this life wasn't supposed to be a test, and if it wasn't supposed to be what it is, we would not be alive, my friends. Like, we would not be here. we'd have the safe path and safe place where we had resided before with God.
Mhm.
You know, and I truly believe that now that I'm looking back, I can stop blaming people. I can stop, judging people for how I used to. I can stop hating on people. So I got into a really bad spot in my life when I was out and about, where I had so much rage and anger and whatnot, and then something snapped at me. You know what? I had this. There's this YouTuber. I don't remember what his name was. He's like, why doesn't Jake Paul? He was like, why doesn't God come to you when you ask for him? You know, why does he come to you when you? He's like, sometimes God comes to you when you're dead, or Jesus comes to you when you're dead, when you're already dead, bud. You know, and that hit me really hard. It's like, you know, you don't know, like we're so naive with everything that is going on, right? And at my time and my anger was the perfect point for him to come into my life and put his foot down and go, no, dude. Like, you're a good fucking person. Sorry, oops. I messed up and cursed. You're a good person and you have to take this path. It's almost like he shoved me in that. He feared me. I got scared. That's why I ran off. I didn't know what to do, you know? So I now know that I got put in my place, and I know that now that I want more people to know, you know? Sorry about cursing. I went almost 3 hours. I was doing so good.
Gotta be some kind of a record.
I know. I was born on the back of a sailor boat. You know what I mean? For me to go this long, and but that's okay. But yeah, I guess my ending message is basically like, we all have to man up, woman up, become mothers and fathers now. Like, we can't be children anymore. Like, we can't keep chasing fantasies and dreams. We gotta start paying attention to our kids. And then people that are younger than us, we can't teach them with tough love, man. Like, tough love for some people may work, but we also have to, we also have to realize that we have to have a heart for people. We have to have some type of understanding. So if I can beg anybody out there, is just to take time and have a little love and understanding. Think about the situations and why they happen. There's a reason for everything, you know? And I really hope that we can come out here and start teaching people actual unconditional love, so
All encompassing love, that and not just the huggy kissy kissy kind.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be okay, and because then you have kids running amok, right? So
right.
We do have need for correction, of course, but it has its time, and we do have need for accountability. Accountability is huge. So something that I had a friend say. He said, he goes, I didn't teach my kids to say sorry when they did something wrong. And I went, huh? He goes, I told them, I said, you say, will you forgive me? Mm-hmm. I did this. So now they're spelling it out, what they did wrong. Huh. Sounds like repentance, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And will you forgive me? Now they're interacting with the other person. Because if you just say, I'm sorry, you can, that's an empty platitude, isn't it? It's kind of like that, the magic prayer earlier. Yeah. You could have that empty interaction with somebody. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I always tell people who tell me, they're like, so I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't be sorry. Don't be a sorry person. Don't be a sorry person. Be a person that's gonna, because it's fine when you learn from what you did the first time. When you keep doing it, that whole cliche thing. But like, I always ask people just to recognize what you did. I already know what you did. There's no reason to apologize or just take it for what you did and have a little bit of shame. This is a big thing I really implore people to do, is have more shame in ourselves. That is something I don't see anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about
I was gonna say, think about what you just said too. About I know what you did, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need you to say sorry. I just need you to acknowledge what you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about how God feels with us.
Yep. That makes sense.
Danny Tippett, you did it again. No, but yeah, that's how he is with us, right? I mean, why do they call him the Heavenly Father? A father who sees, because he knows everything you've done. But I did that in the closet somewhere. The door was closed, and I was on the internet, and I had a VPN on.
Mm-hmm.
God's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He sees, he knows everything. And watch, still loves you. Wait. He knows everything you've done. Still loves you. Not done yet. One more time. He knows everything you've done. Still loves you. So if a father who loves you that much sees you doing something wrong, do you think he would rather you just go, sorry, God? Or do you think that he would, because he's a loving father, would rather you go, I did this. Can you forgive me? That's the picture of true repentance. We as human beings, what we do? A lot of times we have this picture in our head of what repentance looks like. And you ever try to take a set of keys out of a toddler's hand?
Yeah. No. Give it back. Give it back to me.
It's darn near impossible, isn't it?
I need to go to work.
So when we're praying and we go, I'm sorry, God, take it from me.
Mm-hmm.
Will you forgive me? I did this. Will you forgive me? That's the difference. Yes, Mama Lynn, I love that. Create in me a clean heart. That's right out of Scripture.
I like that. Yes, sir.
That's what we're all searching for. That's why there's this hole. What am I looking for? What am I looking for?
Yeah, and trying to fill it with materials or knickknacks and the things that we buy, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, man. You just wasted so much time. But there's this guy over here that's struggling. You know what I mean? How much time does it take to go and for 10? How much of your time does it really take to just go be a nice person to somebody?
Yeah.
Not to do it for. Now you don't have to do it because this person said this person. You gotta do it because you feel so sorry that. Not sorry. I would say you feel that shame of our existence. Like, what were you doing? We're putting our children on the streets over here. You know what I mean? We need to just have that. I feel like we just didn't have that realization so much more. It's like the bigger picture of things. Anywho.
Yeah. Well, so coming to that realization of clean heart, right? Needing that clean heart. Do you feel that today, Brad, if you don't mind me asking, I know this is kind of a public thing, but we can talk about it later if you want to just talk about it later, but do you feel that today you have a clean heart, that you've given repentance unto the Lord? And I mean, having that understanding that we've talked about here, and then really decided he's going to be the cornerstone. Can't talk you out of it. Right? Can't talk you out of it.
I understand the things and such so much of a better realization that like I've repented. He knows what I've done, and the only thing I can do now is build myself to be a better person, so I can go out here and you know
Through
and
him.
show that it's you know
Through him,
just,
right?
yep, yes, because if nobody's gonna even try, then I'm at least gonna try.
Yeah.
It's time. So I have so much love for everybody. It breaks my heart waking up to this world every day and feeling like I can't, at least do something. But I notice if I'm not clean or if I'm not sober, who's gonna believe me? That's why I'm sobered up. I really believe that this is where my path lies. I mean, we both know my story. I grew up with you, and it's been really hard, and I've gotten to the point where I've jumped over these obstacles, over these tests. And I told the devil, I'm not dead yet, bro. You can still come at me. I'm not dead yet. I'm alive and kicking.
You got some support here in the chat too. So CFAM says yes. Psalm 51:10. You got your book.
Yeah.
So I'll let you turn there. While you're turning there, Mama Lynn said, "Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you."
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate your words. Thank you so much.
We have a great community here. Folks that have joined us from over there on AC's channel. Some of them they stop by here and they talk with Sterling and I, and we do Bible study with them. And man, just some fantastic, wonderful people. You can read it out loud, man.
Well, it was create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me away from your presence, and do not take your Holy Spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and uphold me by your generous spirit. Then I will teach transgressors your ways, and sinners shall be converted to you. That's friggin' beautiful. Give me a second. I'm marking that one.
Out comes the highlighter.
Right?
Oh, look at that, Mama Lynn, CFAM. You caused him to get out the highlighter.
Thank you so much. Because it's so strange. When I started letting go of everything and trying to fight against the currents, and I threw my oars over to my boat and realized that the I'm going to be directed into what I've always wanted to do, and it's be able to help people in the way that is genuine, true, and being able to show people what righteousness is again, and love, dude. Like, you were talking to me the other day how like I always have this thing when I go into a room, I bust out a smile and it lights up the room, and I'm using that for love for people. Even though like I would go down to karaoke at the bars or this and this and that, when I'm in that which I like, this has been like a therapy session to me almost, because like I got a lot of love out of this, and but yeah, now that I go down, I will go to the trenches for people now. I'm not scared.
You're supposed to be in the world, but not of it, right?
Right.
Salt of the earth. Think about that. We're supposed to be a little bit bitter, but in a good way. Better, it's a better bitter,
Mm-hmm.
And shining light.
It's a better bitter, yeah.
Going into the darkness to shine the light.
I mean, right, yeah. I mean, There's got to be a little gasoline and a little spark to get your car going, right? I mean, just saying.
Yeah. Well, you think about this is that when you go into those places and stuff, people always go, something different about this guy. You can probably hear him mumbling from time to time because I do that. I've done videography and photography for a lot of bands and stuff, because I also wanted to be a musician for years and pursued it. And
yeah,
but then, I found out I ended up having a lot of fun just doing videography and photography. But anytime I went into a bar, it was always like, this guy's different.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Anytime you go into like these establishments where that's just where music is played.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's different. I know you're noticing that now. It's like, it's a whole different thing. Yep. And you hear people say this was different. I'll tell you what's different. If you give me a second, can I pray for you? Come over here. Right. Let's talk about it.
But I also noticed too, like, there's newer, I wouldn't say attacks. I would say newer obstacles when you give yourself up to the Lord and you have everybody that is not righteous trying to take you down, and still in those times you have to turn around and go, I still love you. No matter what you guys do, no matter how much you guys try to drag us down as people, we still love you. We're disappointed. We're allowed to be disappointed. But at the same time, doesn't mean we don't love you guys.
Check this out. Mama Lynn says 2 or more gathered in his name. She's referring to Matthew 18:20.
Matthew 18:20.
Yeah.
And thank you, Sir Salah. If you, Mr. Road Warrior, my friend, thank you so much. I've held on to this thing, man. And the scriptures that he pointed out and put a little dot next to have been really helpful in a lot of things. And I you know what? I have to say that this has been the coolest experience of being able to have this podcast. Because this has opened up my eyes a little bit better on a lot of things. Just talking. I think, of course, we always have good conversations and stuff like that. But, like, reprocessing everything and what's going on, like, I want to thank you. Always. Well, my brother.
And I always love having conversations with you as well. But where I'm going to give the glory. Yeah. If anything sounds profound coming out of my mouth, it has to be him, because it has to be that Holy Spirit, because I'm just I'm still the old Josh that you always knew.
Yeah.
But he's the profound one. He's the one teaching all of us. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Did you find Matthew 18:20, by the way?
Oh, Matthew 18:20.
Yes, sir.
I've got limited light. It has become dark in Ohio. Ohio. What was that?
Tommy Boy.
Yeah, Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
Ohio.
Then he starts using 2 large fish as weapons.
It's like, yeah. Matthew 18:12, right?
18:20.
18:20. I was close. Oh. 18. Where did it go? For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them. Okay. Again, I say to you that if 2 of you agree on earth concerning anything that they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. Okay. That was 18:19.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. We're supposed to be doing this.
In pairs.
In pairs. No one's supposed to be left alone over here, man.
Yeah. Bear with one another your burdens. It's repeated in the Bible.
Mama Lynn, thank you. I appreciate you. For whatever reason, like I've received what had been thrown out there. Thank you. And I think you know what I mean by that. Very much so. Thank you. Something told you to say that's I thank you. Much love. Much love.
Yeah, both C-Fan and Mama Lynn, they know the Holy Spirit pretty well. They're familiar.
Yeah. And it's so weird. Like I I was trying to say about throwing my oars overboard, and I was like, so many things have happened when I just continue to try to do the right thing. When all those tests are put in my place, and I'm either like here and there, like
Oh,
oh,
just gonna put that on the screen. That's beautiful.
much love. And just know that there's a spirit out here that's a warrior trying to make rights of these wrongs. In the name of God, amen.
It's a great community.
I love you, dude.
I love you too, man.
I love you, dude.
You know what's interesting? You're talking about throwing your oars overboard. If you're out in the middle of the ocean, there's no waves going on. Guess what happens to your boat when there's no oars to push you around?
Just stay stagnant.
Still, right? And you've heard this scripture before: "Be still and know that I am God."
Yes. That's one of my favorite things ever, because there's so many times, man, like God talks to us. And my fiance, she's like, she blows my mind sometimes because she is so connected with everything, you know what I mean? And she is sitting here like constantly like, Brad, like, I'm trying to tell you, you know what I mean? And I'm stubborn. What do you expect? I'm a dude. I'm a dude. No, but and for real though, like that's been the thing my whole life, is just being able to be quiet and listen and see. It's not just about listening. It's just about being still in order for God to find you long enough to tell you, like, hey, whether it's somebody that's passing by that looks at you twice and acknowledges you, or whether it's, a puppy that needs saved, and you grab that puppy and go find that person's house, and then they're breaking down and you're just that shoulder to cry on at that moment. That's how God works. And I'm witnessing this with my own eyes every single day. I can't deny it anymore. And it's made me so ashamed of like the last years I've lived of my life, man, just like being so bitter towards everything, and it was like, why was I such a fool? All I had to do was shut up and listen. You know what I mean? The whole time. I just had to who knew? It's like, Brad, if you're cooking a pizza and you're talking for 20 minutes, you're not going to hear the buzzer. You're going to burn the pizza.
Both great advice for life and a good metaphor.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like I don't sit and pray every day. I don't gloat around my beliefs or anything, but I do have this personalness, and when I do something for somebody, I don't go like, this is, I do it from a form of like I really care about people, man, and I don't want anything in this life to keep attacking people, and these deities and these demons are real. I've witnessed them with my own eyes. I've seen them through people. And it's almost so weird. Like, I'll tell you this story, real quick. I was downstairs the karaoke at the bar, and this is when I wasn't drinking. And there was this guy. He went to go talk to my friend, and he comes up to me and he points at me on like with these eyes, and he goes, "You think that you know, don't you?" And I'm like, what was that? And he goes off and he starts talking to my friends, and he just starts staring at me in this weird stare, and he keeps saying, think that you want to know, and just like it's this test. I didn't even provoke the dude, never talked to the dude in my life, and I'm like, I know what that is. I see exactly what is inside that person. They don't call it spirits for no reason, my friends. You know, God had wine, but he never got drunk, off the wine. Like, that's what they always tell. That's why I so much tell people to have self-control over each other, over themselves. It's just like, yes, God created wine, or we created this and this, but you become a drunkard, that's when you're overdoing it. Just like 7 sins, my friends. You know what I mean? It's the same scenario right there. You overdoing something, you're overindulging in something, it's going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, even Jesus even went through and said, if a man sees something as a sin, don't do
it. Right, yeah. If it looks wrong, if it seems wrong, like, come on, we don't throw cats out of a 7-story building. That just, you know what I mean? Like, we don't go around kicking dogs because they don't know what they don't understand English. You know what I mean?
It's like, if it seems wrong to drink in excess,
right, then it is wrong. Yes,
like you're wrong. Yeah.
If your body is breaking down on you after only having 2 beers, that must be a sign that you should not do it.
At all.
At all. No.
Steer clear of that.
Yeah, I have a little bit more control over myself these days because of my fiance and stuff. Like, every once in a while we'll have, a here and there, but we don't. I don't. What is it? Trauma drink. I call it trauma drinking. I don't do stuff like that anymore. So, but yep, it's one thing I'm fighting always, but it'll be okay.
Well, you got a great support system here, and know that you already know that you can always reach out to me, and a lot of these folks that are within the community. A lot of them are staying in contact with our Discord. Don't ever be afraid to reach out. Obviously, not only to me, but if you want to talk to anybody we're connected with, because I know that everyone would want, because we all want to help each other, bear with one another your burdens. It's part of it. So, that being said, what would be your? I got two questions for you.
Okay.
What would be your final advice for everyone? And then the other question would be, if you were to take what we went through, we went through the series of your life, and we're going to call that the Book of Bradley Walker. What would that title of that book be? So those are the two questions.
Walking in the Spirit. That's all I have to say about that. Walking in the Spirit. I grew up in a life of hell, man. Like, my life. A lot of people know my life story. I went from being somebody that I could have been, and built myself to be a righteous person. I didn't do it. I didn't do it for God, under God, or anything. I did it because I feel, and I like, I do it because it's right. That's all. I do it because it's right. I've seen too much crazy stuff in the world, and people need something that is more true and righteous, dude. Like, walking righteously. Yeah.
Walking righteously.
Yeah.
That's the new television series, Walker Walking Righteously.
Walker.
Walking righteously.
Dodging demons.
Boy, got a shotgun now.
Right.
One of them little sheriff stars,
Right. But I guess out of all this, my one thing is to get out of all this is that we need to pay attention more to what we're putting kids through, because I shouldn't have ever had to grow up like this, and graciously I came out of it a lot better than what most people would have. Most people that have gone through things like I've done, or they're either not alive anymore, or they're incarcerated for life, and I believe in that no matter what we think is we've done just unspeakable or unforgivable things, like there you are still here, you're still being tested, and you're still going through this, and that's the only way we're getting through this we got to get the only way out is through, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had my righteous walk through the past 2 years of like trying to better myself and whatnot, and I implore more people to do that. Control yourselves, control your desires, and
Those who are forgiven much love much.
yes.
Yeah. There's a whole story that goes to that. It was it's a long story short. Two men were given loans by their master, right? One was given one piece of currency. The other was given 100. Came back around to being able to have to pay that back.
Mm-hmm.
And the master said to the person who only owed the one, "Don't worry about it. You're forgiven." And then the guy that owed 100, he said, "Don't worry about it. You're forgiven." What do you think was more thankful for what they owed?
Right.
That's Jesus with us.
Yes, sir.
That's why we're so thankful. I was like, man, because Paul calls himself. He said, "I was the worst of these." he said, "I was worm of the earth, buddy. The chief of sinners." He said, "Didn't deserve it, but God gave it to me anyway." And I think that's awesome.
Yes, sir. Love you, dude. Thank you so much for bringing me on this, and like I'm looking forward to more conversations and more communion with you guys. I think we could all drive harder and have great much love and ideas to kind of see where we can try and stop or net this stuff from happening.
Bear with one another your burdens.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So what we're going to do with the folks who are watching right now, if you're on any other platform than Rumble, I will see you tomorrow morning around 9 a.m. Eastern. Sterling and I will be here for Morning Word for the Bible study. So definitely want to check that out. Also tomorrow evening, I'll be over on Eternal Affairs Truth Media. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll be interviewing a person who's running for Adam Schiff's seat out there in California. And so that's gonna be really cool. And it's one. I'm so glad that you guys got to meet my good friend Bradley. As I said at the top of the 3 hours here, we grew up together. We're basically we're family.
Yes.
It's not even. I can't. It feels weird to me to even say friend, because
Right.
so much more closer than a brother even. But for those of you who are on Rumble, we're going to get you guys rated out because we like to share the love, the viewership. So if you would, as you guys get over there to our good friends over there at the Whiskey Capitalist podcast, say hello, and leave a like, hit that like button. I don't know I honestly don't know what they're even talking about over there. It looks like some kind of weird case of something. I don't know. They talk about all kinds of stuff over there. So I would just really appreciate if you guys just at least said hello, even if you don't stick around, just to let them know that you have they have some support from you guys. So we love you. And as always, I'm going to tell you to stay in trouble. And why do I tell you guys to stay in trouble? Because if you have Christ in your hearts, you will in fact be in trouble with the world. The world doesn't want you living under his grace. That's your salvation first and foremost, and I pray that each and every one of you has that. The world doesn't want you reading his word, praying to him, having a relationship with him, and man, does it not want you going out there and telling others about him and see it as dangerous. We've seen it. But I want to encourage you to do all that anyway and follow Jesus. Love you guys. Stay bold. Stay happy warriors. And as these seconds count down, we'll see you on the other side. Bye for now.
Goodbye.